All right, we live.
What's up?
What's going on, buddy?
Just another day in paradise. It's a nice lazy day today. And raining. Got to catch up on some sleep. Pack some stuff up.
Back
Some
up. Where you going?
pack some stuff up for my beach trip this weekend. That we're going to get our ass whooped, but the show must go on.
Well, Pete, I'll tell you if you want to. Um, there again, why don't you just take my boat? It might be
My
a
boat is out there, and like I said, the house is in Southport. The boat's in Southport, so we're going to rock on out of Southport. But I got more options in my neck of the woods because I can jump the shoals and go to the other side with that southwest wind and fish somewhere out there. So all is not lost. I got plan B, C, and D, being a local boy down there. So I kind of sort of, I feel like I can pull something out my ass and at least catch something. So might not be optimum, but we'll work hard.
yeah. I think you're gonna have a dead south. What do we say? Friday.
Yeah,
Then
Friday might be my worst day, but
you have
Saturday
a
and Sunday, I
southeast.
think I can maybe pull something off. It'll cost me about 20 miles of boat riding, but, it won't be too bad.
All right. Let's see. All right. Let me go to JR's page here. I don't know why. Sometimes I can't see all the comments from my page, but it shows we're live from both pages. All right. I think Dieter's going to be on here in a minute. I found out today that, and again, there's been so much controversy about this Big Rock thing. Uh, I seen an article today. I don't know if I sent it to you or not. Sushi. They're also pushing for that rule to be changed. Uh, did you see that post today on North Carolina offshore fishing?
I haven't really played on Facebook much today. I don't really honestly scroll through Facebook frequently unless I'm bored at work or in a hotel room, But when I'm at home,
Yeah.
I'm usually my cellular's away and I'm enjoying it.
Hold on one second. I have to take this. Hey,
Oh
buddy.
boy.
Hey, man. Answer. I am. Yeah. But my cousin's going to watch them. Well, I got to run over to Taylor's Baptist Church and put some Freon in one of their chillers and look at a unit. They mounted a thermostat on a unit that was obsolete. They did some renovations to the church about 10 years ago, and they mounted a thermostat on a thermostat wire that's not even hooked up to nothing. So I got to get them a price on putting a mini split and the youth one of the youth morning classrooms, whatever they call it. But I'm not. I shouldn't be over there long. What time was you going to be here? Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah, I don't know what time it'll be because I scheduled this thing around because I thought y'all was coming to get them. So that's why I went ahead and told them I'd come over tomorrow.
Hey Wes, mute yourself.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold on, Greg.
Spivey, what's up? It's always a mixed bag of who I fish with. I think this year I'll be doing with John, Cody, and probably Trevor Brown, honestly. I like a four-man team personally. But U.S. Open is definitely happening. I'm off for the 3 days leading up to it and the 3 days after. So I'm not going to make the mistake this year of paying my dues weeks in advance because last year we got ripped off with that hurricane and processing fees and didn't get a full refund. So I'll be damned if I do that this year. Are you going to fish it? Come on, it's an even opportunity for everyone. You can do it. Don't be scared.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Comments. Okay. What's up, Ryan Spivey?
Get Ryan on here. Why not?
I don't know where. I don't know what Dieter. Let's see. I don't know what happened to Dieter. Let's see. So he normally fish this up.
Oh, whatever, Ryan. Whatever. All you got, Ryan, I'm a firm believer that a king is about as dumb as anything else. All you got to do is cross path that big one. And when he's hungry, he'll eat. So, yeah, that's really about it. Get Mercer on here. Come on, Mercer. Give him an invite.
David, you want to come on? Let's see. Hold on. I'll send David. I'm going to send you an invite. Let's see. Copy. Messenger.
I actually don't like pulling mullet for King, Ryan. I do. There's a new way of pulling mullet for Wahoo, actually. But that is way too complex for me. It's like $10 each. Yeah, each.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a firm believer in it, and I could be wrong, but most cases, if you pull, I don't think there's a fish in the ocean that won't hit a ballyhoo. I don't think there's nothing out there that won't hit a ballyhoo, especially.
No.
Is there one pelagic fish that will not hit a ballyhoo?
Not that I know of.
And at the end of the day, I always said, everything in the ocean's hungry. It's like this big food chain. If you can find the fish, 9 times out of 10, they're going to bite. You know, people talk about fish not biting, whatever. My honest opinion, Pete, when you come to a school of wahoo or a couple of wahoo, if you get that bait near him, he sees it, he knows it's there, he's going to hit it.
Man, Wes, I'll be honest with you. I don't think you've been out there yet on a day that's tough. I mean, I've been out there where you fish your ass off for one bite. You've been in there, you caught a couple, but in hindsight, if it's a slow day, you back it up with bottom fishing, and you've experienced that. You can go ahead and drop the bottom and pretty much catch what you want, bottom fishing.
Dude, I have struggled out there too. My last trip, we trolled for 4 hours for 2 bites.
Yeah.
Got 2 fish, lost 1, boated 1. I mean,
That's
I have
goes,
struggled out there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's times you go out there too, and you just know that it ain't going to happen because you get out there to the place that you go to all the time, and now all of a sudden you pull out there and the water's dirty. You know, it's not clear blue, and now what are you going to do? You're fucked, you know. So,
well, I'll tell you, now here's when I get worried though. You know, there again, this is just me, but when I get out to the ledge, if I don't see 2 or 3 boats or 4 or 5 boats or 12 boats, then I'm like, oh hell, I'm in the wrong place. Go to deeper water.
Yeah. I forgot to hang my catfish back here today. It's gone.
Such hatred. Pete, did you get a haircut today?
I did. Can you tell?
It looks shorter.
Younger?
Yeah.
I look younger? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I tell myself when I wake up in the morning, I gotta brush my hair. It's time for a haircut. So that was about.
That's where mine's at. It's like stupid. When mine starts to fuzz up on my ears, I get rid of it. So anyway.
Yeah.
My dehumidifier sounded like Pete's computer there for about a year.
So what's up? Where's JR tonight? Is he still hungover from last night, or what?
That's exactly it. Yeah, he must not have liquor, and you know.
He texted me. He said Angel wanted him to watch a movie with him tonight, so he's spend some time with his wife. So
that's sweet.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yep.
So
David, what's on?
I'm hearing now that they are, from my understanding, the team Sensation has hired a lawyer. And I think Ashley Blue said his outcome was he hopes that they will reverse that call. Is his expectations, and if not, to at least get a rule change, get the number 23 rule changed.
Yeah.
And the team that actually won it, or quote has won it so far, he actually made a post today. He would like to see that same rule changed also. So, but
yeah,
I haven't seen no bashing yet. There's been no, quote shit talking. So far everybody's did it real cordially and did it professionally. So
it seems like you could do that without having to hire an attorney in a lawsuit. I mean, that's really up to the tournament director. I mean, here's the deal. If you're gonna make a shark bit fish ineligible, you might as well make that rule apply to a tail wrap fish that you end up drowning, because you're basically wheeling in dead weight at that point. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, really. I don't know if it's that big of a problem. I guess I understand it in IGFA record kind of stuff, but this isn't an IGFA tournament. All they're doing is just going by that definition of mutilation. I know some people have kind of minced all that together to mean they're IGFA, but they're not IGFA. It's just they're going by that one rule. I think they also, Peter probably knows better than I do, are their leader requirements the same as IGFA?
So I think IGFA has a leader length requirement.
100
It's got to
foot,
be at
100?
least X feet long, or no more than X feet long, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's to my knowledge, that's really about it. It's just, it cannot be greater than, I'm throwing a number out there, like no greater than 30 foot, maybe.
30 feet, I think, is what it is. I think you're double lined. The double line can't be more than half the length of the overall leader or something like that.
And if you touch the leader, of course, then it's considered a catch.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see the video. I have dug around and made calls today and cannot find anybody that will give up any of the cockpit video from what happened.
Well, Dave, Ashley said that he turned all that over to Big Rock right now. They have all of that. He said,
well, I'm sure they still got a copy of it too somewhere, and I couldn't find anybody.
I'm sure videos, cell phone videos out there.
Yeah, I'm sure the attorneys told them to keep all that.
Exactly.
I'm not going to mention no names, but a gentleman told me today, you know what I'm talking about, Pete, and he also told me yesterday that Sensation admitted to knowing that just the fish was bitten by a shark, that there was a shark out there. And then
the proof is there. There's you admit it or not, the proof is there. You got bit,
But I'm saying, they said they admitted it. Now the captain, from my understanding, what the captain was saying today was they didn't know nothing about a shark. They didn't know the shark had hit it till they actually got it in the boat. So, the word was that they admitted they knew that a shark hit this fish and it would be ineligible. But but the captain said today, he said, we didn't know nothing about a shark till we got the fish in the boat.
Yeah.
So, and there again, I understand the rule's a rule, but I'm kind of like Pete on this one. Rules are made to be broken. My opinion, there again, and everybody, it's like an asshole, Dieter. Pete, everybody's got them. I think Sensation won that tournament.
I agree.
I think they won it, but there again, you got that quote rule that come back in there. I think they won it. But we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah. But, I had a friend actually about 8 years ago. He had the winning king disqualified from king tournament because a shark actually, it was a summertime tournament. You know how the king's got his tail and then he got that little narrow section? A shark actually hit it and broke the tail, but it was all still intact. Or it was possibly a barracuda, but the whole thing was intact, no missing meat or anything. And he was disqualified. That fish is disqualified because of that, which
the tail was broke, but it was still intact.
The tail was broken, but it was all intact. There's no missing meat, but it was clear cut. It was hanging on a thread of skin,
It wasn't able to fight like it would
exactly.
had it not been.
So that was disqualified. Yeah. But again, it was not mutilated per se. So, that definition is debatable. Yes, it was mutilated, but all of it's still there, So how do you interpret mutilation overall? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's where the discretion of the judge is going to come in. And yeah, it's I don't know. I feel for him, man, to catch something like that good of a fish. And, that's like I said yesterday, it's not like they went out and did something they knew was like wrong or you shouldn't be doing or whatever. Nature took revenge on them. So, yeah.
There's no doubt in the last 5-6 years, there's more sharks in the ocean and they're becoming more of a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it. Hands down.
I'm trying to help by fishing for them. So I'm trying to help.
Fishing for them, but you're not keeping them. That doesn't help.
That's true. That is true. I'm not killing enough of them. Do all tournaments use this Rule 23 type deal? I mean, does the White Marlin Open use it? And I think, what is it? The Governor's Cup is coming up and stuff. So yeah, I meant to look at the Governor's Cup to see if their rules were similar on all that.
The Marlin tournaments is not much of an issue, man, because it takes a big shark to really knock a piece out of the marlin, or a barracuda is not going to chase a marlin down and bite it at all. King mackerel or wahoo, everything's fair game. Sharks, barracuda, other wahoo, just the food chain is, they're not quite high in that food chain at all.
Yeah.
Now, how could you define? Now, let me ask you this there again. What if that fish had actually got bit by a shark yesterday or day before?
I mean, that's where they bring the biologists in, and I don't know that they're really experts at judging how old a wound is. I don't know how quickly a wound's going to heal up on a fish to where you can go, oh, that's an old wound versus that's a new wound. I would assume they're not going to be able to tell yesterday from today. I mean, I'm just assuming the wounds I've seen on catfish during the spawn, the bite marks, I mean, you can tell when you see one in the like fall or winter, you know, oh, that fish was into some crap back during the spawn. It's scarred, it's healed up, it's not red meat exposed, all that kind of stuff. But you know, I don't
add
know.
this. You know, anytime I've caught a fish that has been freshly bitten by a shark, there will be blood on the deck. When they pulled that marlin on the back of the boat, you saw no blood on the deck whatsoever.
So I've not seen the videos. I've not seen the videos.
Oh, so you think it could have been previous, Pete?
I mean, it could have been the moment it dove down deep at some point. I mean, there's no way that the shark bit the marlin in the last, let's say, the last 5 minutes of the fight.
Okay.
In my opinion, you know, there's no way, in my opinion, also the shark actually bit this marlin during the heat of the battle. You know, so
right.
It happened at some point when that fish dove down deep and he was done.
Yeah.
Well, there again, we'll go back to the rules. We know a rule's a rule, but, and here's a but, and I like what Pete said last night, you know, rules are made to be broken. Let's look at it from this angle. The biologist is looking at it. Dieter, in your opinion, Pete, and we're talking about opinions here, so if anybody goes back and said, we're saying this on show and we're saying that on that show about this tournament, we're not, we're talking about opinions. If that, say it, hypothetically speaking, or say it was a shark that hit that fish, just that small a bite, it didn't look that bad to me, but I'm looking at pictures. Pictures, they say pictures worth 1,000 words. That's bullshit. There's nothing like seeing something in person, but could that bite really have took that much out of that fish?
I don't think so. Not that caliber of fish.
Yeah. To where it would have really hindered.
Pictures will help you. Pictures will hurt you.
To catch.
You know, it goes both ways.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the physical nature of that fish. I think Pete even mentioned it yesterday, depending on, I mean, you see fish all the time with bites in them where they've been bit, and depending on where it's at, if there's a major, you know, artery pumping blood to the lower half of the body, yeah, it may bleed it out completely. And then you could bite a chunk out of it right below the spine in the back where it's nothing but muscle, and it would be fine. Now, it probably would affect the ability of that fish to fight and run and everything else. But yeah, I don't know enough about those fish to know that on the, especially on what I've seen in the pictures.
Well, like I said, I hate it for them. My opinion, from what I've seen, they won it. A rule said they didn't win it, but at the end of the day, across the board, they won that tournament.
Yeah, it's not like they snagged the fish. It's not like they were, you know, running it down with a boat and running over it or something. Yeah. I mean, it may have gotten tail wrapped and died. And like I said, if you're going to say a shark bite disqualifies the fish, and you're going to have to say the same thing based on the same reason that a tail wrapped drowned fish, because you're reeling in a dead fish that is incapable of fighting. And that's the whole premise behind the rule to begin with. So, and I think the fish was dead. I think it had been dead for a long time. So,
well, you know, like Captain McCoy said today in the interview, you know, interviewed him this morning, some station out of Greenville, North Carolina. You know, he said, it's not so much the money with us. He said, now granted, $3.5 million is a lot of money. But when you say that it's not so much the money, you got money. So you got more money than I'm going to ever have. But he said for him, it was, they wanted he said, we wanted to see our name on the fountain.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
More to us than the money.
That's legacy, man. That's legacy stuff right there. You know, that's what you build your brand around when you're in a fishing community.
Every marlin fisherman wants to see, like, you know, of the entire marlin tournaments out there, like, that's the one everyone wants to win. You know, to give example, the king tournaments, the U.S. Open, that's the one that every king fisherman wants to win. That's the one I fucking want to win. You know,
yeah.
And so I get it from that perspective. You want to hoist a trophy like a Super Bowl. You know.
Yeah.
Well, how do you think it's going to play out, Dieter? What's your opinion?
Oh, they're going to lose, no doubt about it. I mean, I unless there's some super secret argument, again, the rules are in place. It's applied equally to everybody, and they're going to lose. I mean, yeah, they may get, you know, it'll go through the court battle. I think that's a whole bunch of saving face stuff that they're doing just because they got some money to do it, and they're going to look like they're going to put up a fight. But I mean, it's like the one in 2010 with the mate that didn't have. They sued, it went to court, it got kicked back, blah, blah, blah. And then they went behind closed doors and settled it. And you never heard what the heck happened. So,
Well, the captain made a statement this morning too. He said, here's the deal. At the end of the day, a year from now, it's going to be forgotten. But I think this will be one of those that'll go down in the. I don't think this
there'll be an asterisk next to that name from this year.
Exactly. Yeah, this will not be forgotten no time soon.
Yeah.
I mean, you talking about a thing in less than 2 days. It's what fucking I don't even know. It might even went worldwide as far as fishing goes.
It was. I want to say it was on. I seen it on BBC or somewhere. Had coverage of it. So
really?
If they've got it, it's like it'll be. If it's on their news feed, it'll go global because they stream. They have news outlets everywhere. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big deal. Plus marlin fishing, that's a worldwide thing, man. They fish for them things everywhere. So that's that news definitely made it around the fishing industry worldwide. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Now, is that the most prestigious game fish? Where does swordfish rate in all these?
Dinner.
So I'll tell you this, Wes, sword fishing, it has been discovered in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years. It was never, ever, only commercial fishermen were able to catch them. In the last 5 years, believe it or not, and I can tell you the guys that discovered daytime sword fishing, they're actually based out of Morehead City. They are the kids, they're kids, they're my age, they're younger than me. They have a huge fishing background, and they actually discovered how to catch swordfish during the day. And it has blown up to something incredible over the last couple of years.
Is that usually a nocturnal animal? They usually catch them at night.
It's a deep animal. They are nocturnal. Yes, they come towards the surface during the nighttime, but they stay down real deep during the day. Not to say it's true, all the time, but that's their general habitat there.
Now, like so those from the Perfect Storm, that was a sword boat, right? They were catching.
Yes, that was a commercial boat, correct.
But they were leaving these lines. They wasn't fishing deep for them. They were like putting these big trot lines out.
Long lining.
Long lining, yes.
Yeah.
So they will hit top oil too.
Correct. But they leave those things out there several days at a time.
Yeah, they come up and feed in the night. Most of those guys, I guess, doing that daylight stuff are doing the deep drop, and I guess that's what the guys are doing that you're talking about, Pete.
Yeah, these boys out of Morehead City, they discovered how, they discovered where, what kind of gear. And I've actually, I have planned trips with them a couple of times, but every time when I was available, the weather sucked, so we couldn't do it. But I've talked to them on many occasions, and they told me the ideal conditions when you want to do it and when you don't want to do it. And the one time that I planned a trip last year to give it a try, it was everything they said not to do it in. And so, the weather, moon phase, all that. Moon phase, you got a full moon equals strong current. You don't want to do a strong current. And so that one time that I planned a trip with a full moon, and I think the charts even showed like a 2-point-something mile an hour current out there in the grounds where I was going to go. I'm like, nope, can't do it. So did not waste the time at all.
That's stroking it.
Yep. And imagine you're fishing 1,400 foot of water. So, but yeah, so these boys were legit. They kept it a secret for a couple of years. They're brothers. Okay. So I'll tell you the story about these. We'll call them their last names is Defer. Okay, so Jackie and James Defer, they were born and raised in South Africa. They came to NC during their younger days. They learned how to fish there. They brought that skill here. They're commercial fishermen out of Morehead City. They're pretty damn good. Like you got to keep on them. The next generation. These guys are fucking good, real good. But so they figured out how to deep drop for them over the last, I say 5, 6, 7 years. And they started telling a few folks about it. And now a lot of folks catching on. And now it's become this huge thing over the last 3 years, roughly. It's really blown up to a new fishery. Problem is, though, in our neck of the woods, you have strong current. Down the Gulf of Mexico, there is no current. So those guys can go out there any given time and actually fish for them. In our neck of the woods here, you got to have that pristine time frame to go out there and do it.
You got to have that window.
That's right. I didn't want to say the word window because you give me a hard time about that shit.
Well, I'll tell you, we caught, I've seen a swordfish caught. We caught one deep dropping when I was in Venice, Louisiana. And honestly, it didn't do a whole lot for me. We dropped on it. I forgot what kind of fish they rigged up to drop that down. Anyway, it took that captain like 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes to get all this thing rigged up. I forgot what he dropped now. But anyway, so we hooked up, and I was down there with Mike Bradford, and I was trying. Jamie Townsend reeled. He landed it. And I was waiting for when the fish come up. We were hoping for a jump. The fish never did jump. It was like he just came up to the boat and it was over. So of course, I brought some of the meat home, and I know everybody's got different tastes, but it didn't do nothing for me. I tried baking it. Gave some to a buddy of mine. Tried smoking it. Tried it both ways. I didn't care for it. I didn't care for the taste of the swordfish at all.
I like it. It's kind of steaky. Did y'all use electric reels or did
no?
He
hand reeled it. He hand lined it.
Nice.
I mean, he was tired. Actually, I think Mike may have fought that fish a little bit. I don't know if Josh got on it or not. They asked me twice I said, man, I don't want none of that shit. Y'all ain't sending me to no damn chiropractor no more. I mean, like I said, I caught a 116-pound yellowfin in Louisiana. And we got back in, I had to go to a fucking chiropractor the next day. When I got home, I scheduled I don't want nothing that's going to hurt me. Y'all can have that shit. So that's why, I ordered a reel today, and I was going to get a 50. I guess just to say I had a Tiagra 50. I got a 50 wide, but I went ahead with the 30 because a 30's going to catch anything that I could put on my boat anyway. Anything bigger than what a 30 would catch, I'm not going to be able to gaff it and pick it up anyway.
All right, so let me go grab something. I want to put it on camera. I want to show it to Pete, show it to you, and get your opinion on this reel that I've got. So,
Pete, I see David trying to get on here. I don't know if he's having issues or Josh Flynn always ready with the gaff on that trash fish. Oh, Josh, hey, Josh, get on the show. I'm going to send you an invite. That's who
bring Josh on here. Bring him on.
Yeah, hold on, Josh. I'm going to send you an invite, buddy. Copy. Messenger. Let's see here. Here we go.
He's grinning. I don't know.
It's my new. The funny part about this is it's on an ugly stick. Believe it or not, it is on an ugly stick, but it's an ugly stick roller rod. Did you even know they made one of these?
I did.
Ugly stick roller? No.
Yeah, I'll try to get the name up here where you can see it. Right there is some light on it. It says ugly stick right in there.
Interesting.
Hopefully, you can get it turned toward the camera. I know it's hard to read. I feel like something JR would do right now.
Josh, what's up?
What's up? What's up, fellas?
No,
hey, Dieter, while you're showing this, let me tell y'all a story about Josh right quick. About 4 years ago, I was fishing the tail race, and I had caught some striper. TLD.
Okay, nice. I don't like that hook you got on there, little catfish hook, but or shark hook, but that's whatever.
I used to have a whole bunch of TLDs.
What do you know about the? It's the big TLD. What thoughts on it? Thoughts? A good starter kit for Dieter Melhorn on catching his.
It is. I mean, it'll get the job
it's a
done.
Two-speed.
It's not a high speed reel. It's not a high speed reel. That's the thing. It's not a high speed reel, and I mean, it's
the problem. If sometimes you put a lot of heat to them, that composite frame will bust. But really, as long as you're slow trolling out, they're a solid reel.
Mm-hmm. So I have, Dieter, you probably remember my good friend from way back when we used to offshore fish all the time. Your internet's kind of choppy there, Dieter. It's kind of you're fading away.
Let me do this. Let me switch to my phone. You'll lose me for a second. You'll lose me for a second, then I'll come back.
Well, anyway, let me get back to my story. So me and Josh was friends on Facebook, and he seen that I was catching some fish down at the tail race. So he called me one afternoon, and he said, "Are you fishing?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you catching fish?" I said,
"I'll switch."
Yeah. So I said, "Actually, yeah, dude." I said, "I'm on some fish." I said, "I done caught like 13 striper. I'm here on one spot cut baiting." He said, "No shit." And I had never really met Josh. I just talked to him. I said, "Where are you at?" And he said, "I'm about to pull up at Lake Hartwell Outdoor Center." So I said, well, would you do me a favor? And he said, what? I said, would you bring me some trout? Because I'm about out of bait. So you remember that, Josh?
Yeah.
So Josh brought me some bait down there, and that's how we kind of became friends. And he went fishing with me a couple of times here in South Carolina. And then, of course, he went really, really big boy saltwater fishing. He's actually doing guides now. Just a phenomenal saltwater fisherman. He's really helped me a lot, like you and Keith has. Tell us what kind of boat you got, Josh, and what you've been doing lately on saltwater.
Well, first off, I appreciate all the kind words. I try hard whenever we're out there to catch fish and have a good time.
Easy, man. It will whoop your ass. Like 2 days in a row, I can't do it, man.
Yeah, I've done two days in a row a couple times here recently, and you get kind of like delirious there sometimes, and you'll be talking about a day, and it's like, no, wait, that was yesterday.
I realize why commercial fishermen are hard on pills. I hate to say it, but I realize that after a lot of offshore fishing. But anyway,
I got a Twin V. It's a 280 GFX. It's a 30-foot cat. The catamaran is really kind of like, I think, the future of offshore boating. As far as just. I don't know, Freeman's obviously really expensive, but there's a lot better price range. But if you ever ride in a catamaran, you understand that the ride is just something different.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of fish are you catching
right now?
Yeah.
Right now, wahoo, tuna, bottom fish mainly. I got a deep drop trip scheduled for, I think, like next weekend. But we're going to go try to get them, try to find a big snowy, some different kinds of groupers, just tile fish. And then I got a swordfish trip scheduled the weekend after that. So we're going to try to get, try to fish all day for a sword. Hopefully
I'm still waiting for my sword invite. I know I've had a couple of them, but it's never worked out. But I'm still waiting, man.
Yeah, we'll get you on one, man. Whenever we're definitely. I'm hoping that maybe we can even possibly do an overnighter sometime this summer. I would like to do like a boys trip and get some groceries and possibly get some of those. I like to catch the swordfish on the smaller reels. That's a lot. That really is a lot different than daytime. And daytime is cool because you're out there in the day getting it done, but nighttime is really like where you can. They come up and swim around, and you ain't got to have. I put I think 10 ounces of lead on the line in the daytime. I mean at nighttime, and we can fish 5 lines. So,
gotcha. Yeah. Nice. Hell yeah.
Hey Wes, his boat sounds safer at night than yours. I mean, no offense by that. So Wes was trying to get me to go out on a night trip with him last night, and I started inquiring about his boat and started getting a little nervous. So it's
what was that?
Come in to save his ass and all this other stuff.
Man, I've never done anything but swordfished overnight, but apparently if you can find some good bottom spots, you can catch a lot of really good fish at nighttime.
Hey, I was just looking for your video, which I'm going to play in a minute. You know, the one I love on my $1,000 Stellar reel.
Yeah.
Look what I just found. I forgot that I had this. This is that shark. This is that swordfish. Get me wrong. Watch this.
I saw you looking down. I thought you was going to sleep.
I know, right? I was bored for a second. I'm gonna look down. I'm bored right now.
Yeah. Oh boy, just steady reeled in. There's Mike on the rod. He gets on the rod.
If you want to come on my boat one day and swordfish on a smaller boat, man, I'm game for it. Just you gotta bring your electric reel though, because that's one thing I don't have. I was planning on hand cranking, but I don't have the right rod for it. I don't have a soft tip.
I think I got it where we got it. They got him
up.
Yeah.
You got. I think you got a little better fishery up there than we do. But I mean, I think it's all really good. But I think up there got some
to me by some commercial guys. That's a guaranteed sword spot. And actually, last time I went to my boat, I plugged it in the GPS unit, and it's actually from the actual marina. It's exactly 80.8 miles, which I don't find that bad. I thought it was more.
Nah. I run like 74 to 84, depending on my spots. But 80 is not bad.
And that's from the marina. So you chop off 10 miles from that once you pass the inlet.
I didn't see a lot of 300 to 400 pound fish come out of Morehead City. I think y'all have. I think we have plenty of fish down here in Charleston, but I think y'all's might be a little bit bigger. I just see some more impressive size. But I got another buddy of mine he's pretty good, and he's taught me. I've met him like twice, but we talk a lot, and he's taught me a lot just by giving me tips via text and this and that. And, I just try to take what I know people are successful doing and just apply it to, and then see what happens.
You're new to bottom fishing for the most part, right?
Bottom fishing and
got into the last couple of years. Is that right? From what I understand?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned over the years is grouper fishing. You are going to find more grouper willing to bite in deeper water. Like, I fish a lot of 90 to 110 foot of water, and grouper fishing is tough, man, because they're a little wiser in that shallow depth. This time of year, especially. But you go out there to 160, 180 or deeper, man, it's easy pickings, But the thing is, you can't always get out there that deep.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I like to fish around the ledge a lot. And, even if you can go just beyond there, because there's plenty of structure right off the backside of it. You find a pile in like 200, you can really usually, and you can find some muttons and stuff like that out there too. So, I'm working on that part of my game right now, because that's going to be really take the charter kind of to the next level. Whenever you can, try to get you some cool fish on the troll, and then turn around and put some really cool fish from the bottom in there on top of them,
Live bait. The guys that I know that actually in my neck of the woods that target muttons and those, type of fish in 160, 200 foot of water, they use live pogies or pinfish. But their key is drop it down deep slow, which is harder to do, but you got to drop it down there 20 feet at a time, let that pogie or whatever bait fish catch up, and just ease it down the bottom, and then reel it up a couple cranks off the bottom.
South Carolina, and the Carolinas in general, you're technically, you're not supposed to have a pinfish trap. The Florida, you can. I don't see what the difference is, but
hook and line, any marina, man, they're just they're stupid easy to catch out there.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Dater, watch this video now. This is what I'm trying to learn how to do. I can't get this rhythm down, but this is the most expensive reel I've ever bought, and I bought it to learn how to do this. And what do you call this, Josh? Like just fast jigging?
Just high-speed jigging?
High-speed jigging. Yeah. This is so cool. He hits a big amberjack. And Josh, how much drag did you have on this thing? 18 pounds, maybe?
I don't know. You had it cranked up. I don't know. It was your rod. You just said hook up a big fish.
Hey, and then when I seen that rod bend over and started building drag, I said, "Nah, it's yours, dude. You go ahead."
Yeah, he made me reel it in after he said he wanted it. I had to fight this damn thing in. Yeah.
Watch this video, dude. This is cool. This is one of my favorite videos.
Man, it was. I tell you what, you can't tell it, but it was rough as hell out there. We was on a 41-foot Onslow Bay, and we was getting water poured on us.
Here we go. Watch this.
Video never does bad water justice.
You got him, Josh. You got him.
Got it. Banana pepper, baby. With the banana on top. With the Spanish flashlight. Woo!
The punishment for no reason.
Got the banana flashlight. Look. You take the care while you stick it in the microwave for 15 seconds. Shave one leg and snip one off. There you go. That's right. You see how my knots hold up, don't you? Wait, let's get the
Is that an ugly stick?
Yes, it is.
A Stella with an ugly stick.
Hey, that's what they were aggravating me, dude. They said you got a $1,000 reel on an $80 rod. I was like,
That's
dude,
awesome.
an ugly stick.
That is awesome.
I'll put
Hey,
that stick up.
All my trolling rods are ugly sticks, man. Those things are
A lot
awesome.
of people that use them. Yep.
I've got 4 Terezzas. $1,600 worth of rods, and I'll put that ugly stick up against any of them.
Yeah. So my big game stuff, you've probably seen my lineup of stuff there. I have a lot of TLDs. I got the TLD 50, 30s, 25s, and then of course I have some AVETs. Now, not my choice of reels, but they were a hand-me-down from a good friend that passed away. So I'm like, you know what? This is sentimental. I'm gonna use it until it's death, practically. So that's what I use out there in the show part. But it's more so because it was given to me, and it means a lot more using that than getting the next best stuff.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that passed away. I've got a reel of his set up for nighttime sword fishing.
Nice.
So, yeah,
I have a good friend that passed away, so I'm like, you know what?
Well, I got to go, fellas. I got something I got to take care of. But thank you for inviting me on the show, Wes.
Sword trip, just saying.
All right. Well, we need, and I'll get Wes. We try to get Wes out there too with us. But y'all take care. Thanks for having me on the show. Good, I'll holler at you in a little while, Wes.
Hey, Josh, before you go, tell them what you do for a living.
I run a heat and air company.
HVAC. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
That's right.
Take care, Wes.
Hey, be good, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
All right, y'all too, man.
Bye-bye.
These HVAC guys, man, I tell you, freaking owning these 50-foot yachts.
They're all millionaires.
David Mercer.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
We've got the famous Captain Dieter Melhorn and David Mercer on the same show at the same time. What the hell?
Oh, hey, we representing G-Town, baby.
That's
That's
right.
it, baby.
They don't know what it's like, do they, Dieter?
They don't. They don't. We try to tell everybody. I told some people on the boat the other day, I said, Gaston County is high crimes, bad schools, no jobs. Y'all go to hell.
Man, that's some crazy stuff went down today. Looked like a couple of shooting, couple kids got shot, looked like down Hudson Boulevard right there.
Yeah, Hudson
this afternoon.
Boulevard, that says a lot.
Well, I hear it all. My daughter got engaged over the weekend down at the beach, so we knew it was coming. But
if I say congrats or I'm sorry for you or watch out,
well, he's a fireman. He's a fireman. He's good. Him and Lee Huffman cross paths every once in a while, so I got eyes everywhere watching him.
There you go. Nice.
Hey, we got a question on here. Matthew Miles says, "Why don't you see many saltwater rods in the 6.5 to 7.5?"
So I'll answer that real quick.
I know too. Yeah.
I use more so the 6.5 rods. So I kind of say that is incorrect. A lot of them are, but your longer rods are going to be more so for like king fishing type fishing, and your shorter rods going to be for more bottom fishing or deer, shark fishing. You know,
I think a better question is why don't we see more catfish rods, boat fishing rods in a shorter size? I hate these 7.5 foot rods like these over here. I actually cut the tips off of a couple of them to shorten them up. I wish we had 6.5 foot rods. You don't need that much, but I know why they do it in the catfish world because they want rods you can cast and boat fish with. So you don't have to cast when you're out saltwater fishing.
Well, personally, I like a shorter rod because I feel like I can control the fish a lot better. I can put a lot more to him. I don't think there's nothing on my boat. Everything on my boat is either heavy or extra heavy. I don't even have a medium heavy rod on my boat. I'd rather have it than not need it, and not have it. And all of my bottom rods now are either extra heavy or extra heavy. I'm gonna show you. I got something in Grouper's ass. I'm gonna keep them. They're not going to keep running me under rocks.
Someone's got bad background noise. Is that Mercer or is that?
Shouldn't be me. Y'all hear it?
Yeah, you, buddy.
I think it is Mercer. Yeah.
Stupid Samsung earbuds, probably.
See, yes, David.
It is Mercer. Yeah.
Yeah, David. I muted you for a second issue, but
is it like other room noise or is it like static?
It is like we can hear us talking through your screen.
Like reverbing.
Well, I've got that muted. That's weird.
A little better now, maybe. I don't know. It's not terrible, but it's not crisp. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, Mercer, yeah. So you just got back from your vacation to Holden Beach. Tell us about the fishing or the lack of fishing due to weather. That you experienced down there. What you thought about the area?
Oh, we loved it. We go down there all the time. It's the first time I took my boat, and we went out Sunday, and it was not fun, but it was doable. Not fun. We spent about 2 hours
like any
out there.
day in the ocean on my skiff. Not fun.
Well, mine's only 23 foot, so I ain't much better than you, And it's a bay boat well, it's got a little bit deeper hole than your typical bait boats. It's a Wellcraft. I mean, I didn't feel unsafe. It just wasn't fun. The ocean up and down 2.5 3s and 4s is not me. They claimed it was like 2 to 2.1. It wasn't where we was at. No, because we were out there about 2 hours, and my son said, "Dad, can we go back in?" I'm like, "Yep."
Hey, I tell you, that video you put up. Did you see that video he put up, Pete, when he threw that net and got all those menhaden?
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, that
was the most fun I had all week, was catching all the freaking pogies. So I didn't know that. I didn't realize that a pogie and a menhaden are technically the same thing.
They are the same thing, yes.
I'd never realized that until I got to looking at it.
If you're a Yankee, they're pogies.
No, up north they call them bunkers.
Bunker, that's right. That's right.
Bunkers.
So a bunker and a pogie and a menhaden are all the same fish technically?
Same thing. Depends on where you're from, what you call them, yes.
Yeah. So I got some good cast net practice in. I'm ready. But,
so how long did it last your bait tank?
Not long. I put way too many in there, man.
Yeah, well, no matter what, they won't last in that bait tank because you got to have water come in and out nonstop with those bunker.
Well, I should have put them in my back tank and then on my boat, but we wasn't even planning on fishing. We were leaving the beach. We had been beached right there on the backside of Oak Island, and as we were leaving the backside of the beach right there, I'm like, look at them big clouds right there. So I put Dakota on the boat on the wheel. I said, ease us up over there. I said, if that's what I think it is, I'm going to throw the cast net on them jokers. When I did, man, I couldn't get the net back over the side of the boat. I mean, it was all I could do. And when I emptied it out in my bait tank, it overflowed. I'm like, that's way too many.
In fishing world, we have the term called floating the net. So a lot of times you get in a school like that, you throw the net and it will not hit the bottom. It'll float to the top full of bait, And so that's probably what happened right there. You floated the net.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was fun, but man, that was too many bait.
Hey, you remember what I commented, David?
Yeah. As soon as I called Wes, I said, what do you mean by they gone? I'm pretty sure I know what you meant because they gone. They didn't last 10 minutes, man. I was trying to I was going to pull over and call out and empty them, but man, they didn't last no time. They just couldn't breathe.
How much shit did you wind up in the tank when you got
I got a 50-gallon built-in tank on mine, and I actually count 50.
It wasn't terrible. I mean, I went ahead and washed my tank out and cleaned all my filters, but it wasn't bad.
Hey, Dieter, do you know Corey's
got a man crush on Dieter over here. I'm going to say no one cares.
Wait, say that again. I got everybody
Corey Jeffers?
Corey Jeffers. Corey Jeffers. Can't say that I know him. What would you know about him?
I don't know. Let's see here. Hold on.
He says, Dieter's a big liar, blah, 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 blah. Corey, no one cares. No one cares.
Yeah. Don't know who he is. Don't know who he is.
One of your haters. That's cool. We all got them. That's all good.
Dude, you're nobody without haters, baby. You ain't nobody without some haters.
You're right.
I know, right?
I got a lot of them. I'm going to tell you right now, my Lake Norman, I got a lot of Lake Norman haters. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, trust me. I get the questions all the time. Do you know Peter Riley?
Are you serious?
Oh, I get people. Yeah, we'll get talking like,
talk to me afterwards. I got.
What do you know about it?
It's about me. It's outspoken as I am.
I don't know. I think they're scared of you. I think they're afraid to ask. It's like, don't tell him you know me.
You see that damn tattoo on Wes's neck? They know he means business.
I had a guy last year. I was doing, and he actually let me do his job, and he was pretty cool. But he said, "Wes," he said, "I got to ask you." He said, "How much time did you do?" And I forgot about my tattoos. I said, I looked at myself. What makes you think I've did time before? Because I try to act professional on my job, and especially when I'm dealing with customers. And he said, I can tell by the tattoos on your neck. And I said, so the tattoos on my neck means I've been in jail? He said, when they're jailhouse tattoos, it does. So, then I found out later he actually worked at a tattoo parlor, so he actually knew what he was looking at. So,
yeah. Oh, I seen the messages here, Paula. I will hit you and Ken up when I get off here. I just turned my messages on this side over here. Gotcha. Corey. Yeah, Corey doesn't ring a bell. I don't know who she is. Is she cute? That's curious. Hey, Matt Miles, how you doing there? Y'all should have Catfish Dana on here. I don't know who she is either.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
I don't know who else we got on here. Yeah.
Hey, I got Catfish Dave on here one time for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I asked him something. I said, so is it true? Do you really live with your parents? And he didn't like that. He said he had to go, and then he finally unfriended me.
Imagine that. What a terrible break to your existence as a human being. That'd break
so where are there more haters? Are there more haters in saltwater world, the catfish world, the striper world, the crappie world?
They're everywhere, Dave. They're everywhere in fishing. Anybody that gets a little notoriety for doing anything, maybe winning a striper tournament or two on Lake Norman, guess what? People's going to pile on. They're going to come out with everything disparaged. And listen, it's like I said in my podcast, we hate in others what we want most in ourselves. So when you can't go out and win that striper tournament up there on Lake Norman and take on that trophy, you're going to beat down the guy who's actually able to do it. And that's just human nature. People do that stuff. It's jealousy, envy, whatever you want to call it. You get a little maturity on you, you go, I hate him for beating me, but by God, I'm going to try to beat him. I respect him, but by God, I want to beat him. That's once you get some maturity. So when you got those haters out there, especially when they're little kids that can't grow a really good beard, that's when you start, just going, they're going to grow up at some point. Look at Mercer's beard. That's a man's beard right there. I
don't recognize the man all of a sudden. I'll tell you what, I saw his picture a couple weeks ago. Like, who is that guy? It's not it's not Mercer.
Thank you.
He's biting his tongue. He's being real quiet now. So
you are muted all of a sudden. We don't hear you.
Oh, Chris Flores has jumped in here. Wow. Who distributed this out to the world if Chris Flores stopped by here?
This is a real show going on right here without freaking, what's his name? JR.
I know. JR goes away, and we actually get a good crowd of people here from across the country. Yeah. This is awesome. Very
I didn't even know Paula watched our show.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Hey, Paula, how you doing?
Paula, glad to hear about everything going good with the cancer stuff. That's awesome.
That's what I was fixing to say.
Yeah, that's good news. The good news. I just saw today that Jeff Manning, y'all know Jeff Manning locally, his brother had went through some cancer treatments and got to ring the bell today. I saw that video. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Y'all been through a lot. So that's good. Jeff Chris has the nicest mustache in all of catfishing. He does, Matt. That is very true. Very true.
We give JR a hard time, Dieter, and I know you've been giving a hard time. And everybody, we talk about catfish. They don't fight, they don't do this, they don't do that. But everybody likes what they like. I grew up catfishing, and I loved it. I think catfishing gets so many people started in the sport, and it's kind of like the gateway to fishing. Some people stay with it. Some people like to move on and do stuff different. And I will say this: a blue, my biggest blue is an 81-pound blue. Honestly,
good fish.
But that fish didn't
heavy wet fish rag
for me. But now a flathead, I've only caught 2 flatheads in my life. Biggest one was 28 pounds, and I'll say this about a flathead: I was actually fishing a catfish tournament at Lake Hartwell Outdoor. I'm at the Lake Hartwell, one of their tournaments, and that fish hit. And I was cussing and raising hell because I thought it was a striper. I said, motherfucker. I said, here we are. I'm in a damn catfish tournament. And I'm catching a damn striper. If I was catching a striper, I'd caught a catfish. And it turned out to be, and it was just like a 17 or 18 pound flathead. And I was like, damn, I see what they're talking about now.
Yeah.
You stole something.
The biggest thing with the catfish world is we honest to God overpower a lot of the fishing that we do. I mean, these rods I've got over here, great rods, They'd be great rods if I was fishing heavy current and having to chunk large amounts of weight and that kind of stuff and pulling them up in current. But it's overkill for reservoirs. You downsize the stuff to something reasonable, and it's a little more fun catching the fish. But yeah, you're right. I was fishing a Cabela's tournament out in Tennessee, and you've never seen anybody in their life get as mad to catch a 22-pound striper as I was, because I thought I had a flathead on this point. And it came up and I seen nothing but silver. And I was like, good God. I was like, I'm going to kill it and eat it because I was so mad. I thought I had a good fish. So there you go. It was the opposite of your story.
Hey, there's my buddy, John.
Oh boy. So, hey, before John pops on, Dieter, question for you here. So first and foremost, Facebook does weird things. And for some reason, I don't get like your stuff on my news feed at all. It's the way
I don't either.
Shit.
I don't either.
Depending on what I put up, I'll explain that in a second. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. But so recently I saw that you acquired a boat. Actually, it popped in my feed, out the blue. And
Surprise,
so tell us about the boat. How'd you acquire it and what your plans are for it?
I think you know whose boat it is, don't you?
I think I know. You talked about Jeff Manning, right? Yep.
No, it's not Jeff's. It's Mac Byram's boat.
Oh, is it Max? Okay.
It's Max Lund. Mac reached out to me. I'm going to put all this in the video. I've been doing some shorts. But, yeah, he reached out to me. He's got some eyesight problems, and they live there on Lake Norman. And he said, hey, I'm not going to do any more guy trips. We're not doing any fishing. If we want to go out, we'll go out in our pontoon boat. He's got vertigo. I'm telling no secrets. He's talked about all this publicly. Yeah. And he said, I want the boat to be fished. He said, you've always, jokingly said I got first shot at it. And a few weeks ago, he hit me up and said, it's yours if you want it. And, it's one of those things, you're blessed. It's bittersweet because Mac's like phasing out of fishing, and because he's been around Lake Norman forever. And, he's in that rawhide class of people up there fishing. And the other thing was I wasn't looking for a boat. It's one thing when you're looking to get a boat, like I need to get one, you shop, you find one, you're excited. I was like, this is really cool, but it's kind of overwhelming at the same time. So bottom line was, got it, ended up having to buy a trailer because one of the downsides was Mac's boat stayed in the water there at his house on Lake Norman. So you have the stuff that goes with that as far as the barnacles and stuff, which is a whole series of videos on getting that off. But ended up buying a trailer, got it home, and had been troubleshooting a few issues on it, which have luckily worked out really good. He told me right up front, and he said, hey, there's a cylinder that's not firing. There's a mechanic was supposed to come fix it. He never came and fixed it. Cylinder wasn't firing, and we took it out, tested it, and sure enough, when it started out, it would slowly get on plane, never got above like 4,200 RPM. So something was amiss. Me and Grayson got out there. We got some plugs for it, pulled the plugs, found out that one of the 6 plugs was behind the cowling, pain in the butt to get to. Took the cowling off, got to it. Fine. You probably know where this is going. 5 of the 6 plugs were relatively new, and the one that was behind the cowling looked like it had never been changed the entire time. And Mike had some service. He told me what the service schedule was, but apparently a lazy-ass mechanic, because you can change the oil, fuel filters, everything else without pulling that cowling off. And the odd thing was that one plug was a factory spec plug that the owner manual called for. The other ones were not even the right plugs for the motor. So we put those in yesterday and put in a new fuel filter. I wish I had a picture of that thing. It was
about
the color of my shirt. Yeah. And dude, dropped it in this morning, and you'll see the video tomorrow. I'm going to post it, but
maybe
I threw that throttle forward. It sucked up and on the plane, ran up to about 5,500 RPMs. I could probably get some more out of it with doing some prop play. But she's running.
What kind of boat is this, Dieter?
It's a Lund Baron Magnum, 21.5-foot boat. So obviously a Lund. Dogs in the house. Dogs in.
Who let the dogs in?
Got his attention.
Hartley, hush.
So yeah, it's a Lund. It's a deep V. I've always wanted one. So I'm waiting for the first day where we've got 25-mile-an-hour winds sustained out of the north, and I'm heading to Lake Norman just to see what it feels like. So
I got to tell you a little Mac story here. I've only met the guy like 2 times, and one time was actually I went to his house personally and bought some reels off of him.
Yeah.
And my intent was there, go there, buy the reels, and pleasantries. Hey, how are you? Whatever. I went there to get the reels, and he invited me in the house. And the trip to buy 2 reels turned into hour and a half of war stories about Lake Norman, this and that, and so it was very pleasant. Now I got these 2 reels. They're the Abu Garcia Striper Special.
Yeah,
I don't use them much anymore, but the fact that I bought them from Mac, I'm like, I don't want to let these go. So
yeah. Did he take you through his tackle room with all the
absolutely, yes. I saw the whole
that's an hour right there.
Everything. Yeah. Oh, not only that, he took me through his garden too.
Okay, got the garden tour. So.
Got the garden tour, yes. That I remember.
Yeah. Bill Ward lives on that same street. He's somewhere right down that street from Mac up there. So yeah,
I've heard some stories about the 2 that we won't get into in the show, but that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Longest.
So I at least got something I can chase you around with now on Lake Norman come wintertime when it's wintry and
blood. Sticks out pretty good. So, you can see that boat from a mile away.
Yeah. Hey, here's a serious question. We noticed he's got a trolling motor. It's one of those, as I say, this motor's going to age me because it's auto deploy. It goes into the water fine, and you guys that fish offshore that use trolling motors for spot locking know this. It's into the water fine until you start riding waves, and it's starting to come up out of it. Can you add a longer shaft to the motor? John's shaking his head. No. Okay.
No, you got to buy.
I think you can add a shorter shaft, but not a longer shaft.
Okay.
I think they're one whole assembly. Now I have replaced a shaft in mine, so maybe it is possible. But I think the wiring that goes down to the head, like Peter said, you could probably shorten it. It goes down there to that magneto or whatever.
Yeah.
It's possible to maybe shorten it, but what size is the shaft?
I don't know. I need to stick a tape on it and see.
This is the one.
Peter, I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as troll motors, you could probably easily sell that troll motor like with no issue whatsoever, and then buy what you need for maybe a couple hundred more.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually thought about that with the demand for those motors right now, and as hard as they are to come by, I think I could unload it pretty quickly. But it's just the only time we noticed it was
right for sale trolling motor. Dieter Melhorn. All of a sudden, everyone's like, "Oh shit, let me get this from a legend here." So it will sell in no time.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, that's my boat story. So yeah, it's
nice.
It's exciting, but also a little overwhelming to have it just happen out of the blue. So there you go.
Gotcha.
Nice.
So, John, what's the latest word? Have you heard anything else?
I know that they have obviously lawyered up, but other than that, I don't know. I know they have a 5-day arbitration period, and all checks are put on hold until the arbitration period's over. And I did see that Ashley Blue was going to, I think he said if they denied it, he was going to take it to the courts. So, or at least in the article I read. So I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it'll go. Yes, we can see your comments, JR. I doubt it will go anywhere. Honestly, I mean, it is what it is. Signed up for it.
So, and John, I guess you're more familiar with the area than anyone else. It's like any other beach community. Everyone's very tight knit there. Mm-hmm. So what I feel like has happened in the situation right here is they know someone that's an attorney that's willing to represent them. And so
they hired an attorney out of Beaufort.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's not just a random attorney that just popped in there and said, hey, I'm pretty sure he knows someone from the area that feels like they have a pretty decent chance, or at least is worthwhile fighting the opportunity here. So yeah.
They've listen, my opinion there again, I know that you're talking about a bunch of rich white folks that's got more money than you could pack in my house in $100 bills. But they've got to have something that they haven't said. There's got to be some kind of catch somewhere for them to want to spend this kind of money that makes them think that they might could come out on top. I mean,
the way the legal system works, man, there's 2 ways of going about it. You pay the attorney up front, or if the case is won in court, they get a percentage. So,
yeah. So they're probably, I think this one they probably had a ton of attorneys reach out to them, and they're probably doing some pro bono stuff. You know, like, hey, we'll work on it for free. You know,
Fishing trips. We'll take you fishing.
yeah, I mean, up to 80 hours they'll put into it, and then after that, you know, if it doesn't go anywhere, it's like, hey, okay.
I have a lot of attorney friends. I really do. Okay, and in a situation like this, for example, you know, they'll say that, hey, I'm going to charge you $2,000 to get this going. All right, that's the flat rate. Now, if we win this, I get X percent. If we lose this, well, you're just out $2,000. That's it.
Yeah. And typically it's like 30%. Usually they take a third. But I would bet with the national coverage on this one, I bet they had a ton of lawyers reach out to them. And because, I mean, their name goes along with it too. I can't remember the firm, but I did see it in the article. They were either out of Moorhead or Beaufort. But part of that arbitration, I just pulled the rules back up. You know, so they have 5 days. Dispute shall be submitted under North Carolina Revised Uniform Arbitration Act. All negotiations and mediation hearings shall take place in Moorhead City. Arbitration shall be conducted by a single arbitrator who is a retired North Carolina state or federal judge whose practice experience includes commercial litigation, and the arbitrator must be a resident of the state of North Carolina. And then it goes on to say, you know, prior to any arbitration hearing, limited discovery shall be permitted for the purpose of obtaining production of documents. So they'll have to release whatever footage they have. Big Rock will. I mean, there's a couple different sections to it, but it basically says that all fees and expenses for the arbitration shall be borne by the parties equally. However, each party shall bear the expense of said party's own counsel, expert witnesses, preparation, blah, blah, blah.
Now, John, have you heard Dieter said he was trying to find out today and he couldn't find nothing, so it's probably pretty tight-lipped. But do you know of anybody or has any kind of video been released yet from that boat?
The only thing I saw, they did, I think Pirate Radio put together like a video montage of them.
I saw that
fish.
Too.
You know, and then on the way back in, them dancing and partying. I did see that
rolling on the river.
Yeah, I did see where Captain McCoy had talked about, you know, they fought the fish for 45 minutes and the fish died, went to the bottom, tail wrapped, and he basically said he could see it once they got it to 130 fathoms or something like that. He could see it on the sonar and see it clearly. So, I mean, that's why it took 6 hours to get up. I mean, everybody's finding that out now. But I think why was it taking so long to reel that fish in? And every fish fight's different. I've never reeled one in, but I do know. I mean, my uncle's caught a 1,100 or 1,000 pound marlin in overseas in the Pacific. And he said that, and it was on an old pin, you know, 1980s reel. And he was like, there was no 2-speed whenever I was doing it. And he was like, we fought the fish all day and took turns. And he's like, they're just the most powerful fish.
Well, you know, there was a statement made, and there again, I'm not going to say his name. Pete knows who he is. But he said that when all this first started, that the captain admitted that they knew that the fish had been hit by a shark. And now I'm hearing the captain said, no, they did not say that. They did not know that the fish had been hit by a shark, so they got it on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the deal is with that, but when it did come in, it was face down, or, you know, the bite was down. And some people were like, oh, you can't, you know, maneuver a marlin. I'm like, man, there's 6-7 grown men on that boat that could flip that fish over. That I don't think that's an issue. Now, is it an easy task? Probably not, but they could definitely flip it over. And at the end of the day, they're still going to see it, you know, once they hoist it up. So I don't know. My uncle was there at the weigh-in. He did say, you know, because I had called him, and he was like, you know, they yelled shark bite, and he said it was about to be a riot. And he said, you know, they
now, why did, and there again, and I've heard this before, the biggest mistake that was made in that tournament was taking that fish off the boat and weighing it. Why did Big Rock do that?
Well, I think they wanted to get a weight on it, regardless. But I know that in the rules it states no official weight slip will be given to a disqualified fish. So I don't know that they were ever given a weight slip. They did have the board, with the 619 pounds or whatever it was. But even like the dolphin I weighed in last year, I got a yellow ticket that says, has all the NC State biologists, et cetera, weighing and checking the fish out and official weight.
Like anything else, Wes, for example, what if this fish, you go through the court and is now judged a winning fish? Now, if they did not weigh it, now you got a problem, so of course you want to weigh it.
Well, why is everybody saying the biggest mistake that they made was taking it off the boat? They should have, from my understanding, they was going to disqualify it. They should have disqualified it while it was on the boat and been done with it and never hung it.
They were afraid a riot was going to break out down there. I heard that from some people. In all seriousness, they were
yelling, weigh it. I mean,
so many people
were chanting, weigh the fish or whatever it was.
Yeah, I heard there was actually a fear that there may be.
Well, you had people waiting out there 5 or 6 hours to see that fish too. So
and they were drunk as a cooter too, and you don't want drunk, pissed off people.
What's a cooter?
They're having a good time on a Saturday night, man. Ain't no denying that.
So I left there at 8. It was actually before they boated the fish. I left there around 8:15, and they already had chairs lined up, and there's maybe, I don't know, 125 people, something like that, sitting around, and some people walking around, and they keep, if you're a part of the participant in the tournament, they give you a wristband, and you get open bar until 9 p.m. And they were already starting to kind of close that down and making people go to buy the drinks, but I had to pick up some shirts for my family and headed out, but it wasn't as large of a crowd, but I know when my uncle went back, he said he went back around 10 o'clock. He said he was like 30 rows back. I mean, he was like, it's not like it wasn't a typical weigh-in. There was a ton of people there. So, but yeah,
that video was amazing of them in the turning basin coming through there with all the people lined up and down. From the top of the bar, top deck, lower deck, all the way to the weighing side. That's pretty impressive.
Let me tell you, on the way back in on Saturday, there was we had launched at, I think it's called Newport River boat ramp. It's right there in Beaufort Inlet, first one after you go into the drawbridge. And there, when you come in that inlet, that's the whole fleet. We were in there with, I don't know, 25 other sport fishing, a couple center consoles, and you would see a 21-foot Carolina skiff jump out in front of these sport fishes, and it's like, these guys don't give a shit. They'll run you over. I mean, they will. They will. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, these guys are asking for death wish. And it was like, I wish there was drone footage of like all these little boats. There's a couple pontoon boats out there, and just the tourists, I don't think they have any clue.
It's like the scene from Jaws.
Sport fish when he's coming in, 30 knots. Like, I mean, it's
like Jaws when they put the bounty on the shark and all the yahoos showed up in little bitty boats. So.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Yep.
But,
so what do you think the outcome, John, will be? They're not going to find in their favor?
I don't think so the 5-day arbitration period is like where they do it internally before taking it to the courts. And then that's what Ashley Blue was saying, is he's like, if it gets denied there, he's going to take it to the courts. So that may be where he spends a little money. I don't know.
Now, what would happen? What do you think would happen if, say, wait a minute, Big Rock was wrong, that's a winning fish? How many lawsuits from the past do you think?
Wes, I'm going to tell you right now, if it goes in the court, it's going to be a year and a half before you get an answer.
Yep.
It took 3 years on that 2010 fish, didn't it, before they finally said we settled out of court? So
yeah.
Hey, right quick, JR made a statement about my rod. JR, I don't know what you were talking about, buddy, but that's the rod I ordered, and that is the rod that Josh was fighting that fish on. All my Tiger rods are Tiger Elite rods. They're not just Tiger rods. I don't know what made you think that wasn't an Elite, but every rod I've got on my boat, Ugly Stick, is a Tiger Elite rod, buddy. That's where I ordered them. So anyway,
and back to the Big Rock organization. I mean, if you look at these other captains out there, they're kind of upset about what's going on too, because the Big Rock brings a ton of tourism to Morehead City and Beaufort and the East Coast when it comes in. Hundreds of thousands of people tuned in apparently to this, and now it's
even Wes wanted to come in there just to see the weigh-in, right? So that's proof right there.
Yeah,
I wanted to see Michael Jordan.
I wanted to see Michael Jordan, but I wanted to, I'd have come up there to see fish, and I talked to John about it, and he said, Wes, the weather's terrible. Nobody's weighing in fish. I mean, when you got 2 days that the weather's so bad that $3, $4, $5 million boats is not going out there, I wasn't going to drive all the way up there just to say, hey, I was at the Big Rock and not see nothing. So that's why I opted out this year.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I was surprised Wednesday when the 12 boats fished, there were 2 boated. I mean, that was crazy. When you had other days when no one boated anything, but weather sucked, but Big Rock, they do make money at their incorporation, but they do have a big charity. And I think they do a lot for a lot of different organizations. I know you can pick a charity if they do the hometown raffle, pick a charity of your from your hometown. You buy a $10 raffle ticket and they've given away $25,000, something like that. They do some pretty cool stuff, and I just think this is going to eat up some resources from the Big Rock. And I think that's what a lot of these captains are like, what are you doing? And the other thing is this Fabulous Fisherman, if no one boats a fish over 500 pounds, it rolls over to the next year. And so there's definitely going to be more boats entering next year if you've got $740,000 on top of whatever will be entered in next year. It will definitely be set a new record for biggest marlin if someone can take that first place.
Is that money paid to the first marlin over 500, or the biggest for the tournament?
Yep.
First
over 500.
Wow.
First over 500. So that's what I was saying yesterday is the guys from Builder's Choice, they're like, we hate it because it forces people to fish days they typically wouldn't fish. Monday was rough as hell. 251 boats went out. They're calling for thunderstorms. We were out in it. On that day, if that day would have been a Thursday, it would have been 30 boats fishing it.
Hey, John,
the big picture here real quick. When the tournament starts on Monday, you want to be out there in the first couple of days because those fish hadn't seen pressure yet, but as you get into day 4, 5, 6, those fish have seen boats out there in the same area getting, beat to death. And these fish, have either been sore mouthed already or the fish aren't there no more,
Well, so this is different than a lake. You're talking about a 500 square mile.
True, but still, you get, on day 1 or 2, you get 50, 60 boats, one little area. Those fish, for the most part, that big, we'll call it the big body of fish, they've been they've seen what they need to see, and they've either been caught or they're gone.
Yep.
Keith Wood's got a question, John. How much would you fit? And there again, everybody's guessing here, but Keith Wood says, he said, how much do you think it'll cost for the protest? What is this going,
I have no clue, but it's going to cost some money. It's going to cost some money. The Big Rock's going to have to pay it out of their pockets. And dude, these guys aren't hurting, man. They're selling, the entry fee for these are $42,000. I've never added it up to see what they actually pay out. I don't know what they keep. I know they do donate a bunch to charity, like when you purchase their gear and stuff. But these guys are selling, 1,000, 1,500 shirts every 4 hours. They're making money on merchandise just as much as they are, tournament entry fees. And so I don't know.
Which is what my question was. Is Big Rock a money-making entity, or is it
It's not a nonprofit.
No,
okay.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's an incorporation. So they're making money.
Okay.
I don't know.
As they should for doing what they do.
It's a big,
nothing against
No,
that.
Keith's talking about, he said, I'm talking about the boat that's protesting, which I guess he's talking about the sensation.
Yeah, and again, that's
money.
kind of like what right now we're talking about. If the attorney does do a pro bono, they're going to do it for free and take a third if they win anything, or charge a $2,000 or a flat fee up front just to kind of get the case started. I would imagine it's going to be pro bono. Just national publicity. That attorney's firm name is going to be out there. listed along with this. People are going to follow this, for at least this week. I don't know what happens after that. Stuff kind of dies off, especially if it gets tied up in litigation. Like Pete said, you may not have an answer for a year. People have forgotten about it by then.
Yeah.
Here's what I think will happen, and there again, this is just my opinion. I think Big Rock will try to smooth it over, maybe pay them a little bit of money, and we know it's not about money, but they may try to pay them a little bit of money and just let things die down. And then, Sensation say, hey, there again, we don't want the money. We want our name on the fountain.
Yeah.
That's what Mint More does. So, there's no telling, we're just talking, and there's no telling how this is going to play out. But like I said, my opinion, and there again, my opinion ain't worth a damn because I don't have that kind of money. Everybody thinks I'm rich, but I'm not. I definitely don't have no Big Rock money, but I think they want it. Their fish was bigger, had a little bite out of it or 2 little bites out of it. At the end of the day, they won that tournament. There's a big but in there, but there's a rule there that says they didn't. So,
I think you have to it's a tough decision to make. I wouldn't want to be the guy that makes the decision.
I know, right? Exactly.
I would not.
Let's put it this way. In this situation right here, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if now the Sensation's the winner, the Sushi could sue.
Yeah, they could.
And will.
Sushi's the winner,
and they will.
Sensation. Yeah. So at this point right here, it does not matter what the result would be because some end would probably sue the other.
Yep.
It doesn't sound like to me that the question is really who won because the rule's pretty cut and dry. I mean, it's either the mutilation happened before it was voted or it didn't. So that's pretty well decided already. I think everybody's argument is whether the rule should even be there, but that's not even really something that you can change now. You can change it going forward, but you ain't gonna change the past.
And I get where he's coming from on talking about the IGFA, like how it's not an IGFA tournament, but they want you to follow this IGFA. I mean, and it says for that weight alteration, we follow IGFA rules. Well, okay. I mean, so are we following and that's where he's coming from. Are we following IGFA rules? But it's in there. So,
but like I said, there again,
even though it's not technically black and white, it's still listed in there. I think that they have to stand their ground just to keep the integrity of the tournament. Otherwise, you're going to have how the word work.
But I think the question, John, is going to be: Can they say, "Hey, we're going to use the IGFA rule number 23"? But we're going to only use half of it. We're not going to look at the whole rule because there again, like he said, if you look at that whole rule, it says the mutilation rule applies on a potential world record fish. That was not a potential world record fish. That's in Rule 23. So I think from what
I did not see where it applies to a world record. I saw that it has.
I think they're reading it out of the IGFA rule. They're taking that part out of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the IGFA rule, and I have it. It doesn't say. It says at the end of it. I have to pull it back up. At the end of it, it says, after talking about penetrate the flesh, injuries caused by leader or line scratches, old healed scars, or regeneration deformities are not considered to be disqualifying injuries. Any mutilation on the fish must be shown in a photograph and fully explained in a report accompanying the record application.
Yeah.
So I think that is if you're submitting for a world record, you've got to follow that.
Which is what the rule is for anyway.
Right.
The IGF rule, correct?
But there again, this is the Big Rock tournament, right?
Yeah.
Big Rock's tournament. So why are they even bringing IGFA rule? Why don't they make their own rules and leave IGFA out of it?
Well, and I think he said, and I may be a little wrong there because I'm not 100% on the IGFA rule, but you can switch anglers, which in IGFA the same angler has to reel the fish. No one can even touch the angler unless they are going overboard. So that you can't grab, their shoulders, hold on to them unless they are potentially, it's a safety issue. So they don't follow that IGFA rule, but they do have the, tournament circle hooks. That's IGFA. And then they also have, the other IGFA rule that they follow is the leader. So you can't have more than a 40-foot single leader or a 30-foot double.
That's what I was asking Peter about earlier, if their stuff matched.
And there's so that's what I'm saying. And in his interview, he's like, that's the only IGFA rule. And I'm like, no, there's other stuff in there that do follow IGFA. They just don't list it as, they list it out. So he may have a little bit of case there. Like, hey, they're listing out what the leader rule is, and they're listing out that, it is a boat tournament, not a single angler. So I get it to some degree, but again, it's in the rules. I think
they're grabbing at straws. I really do.
Yeah, and they are. And they say it's not about money; it's about that plaque. But man, you want to tell me that $3.2 million? Come on.
Oh, it's definitely about the money.
Come on, man. $3.2 million, and no.
Well,
I'm sure the guy's obviously a multi-millionaire that owns the boat. I mean, you own a Garrett Bay boat and have a charter boat and hire a captain and mates. You got a little bit of money. That's a side business for him. But I don't think he's, a billionaire that doesn't care about 3.2 million. I think that's a little stretch. And I don't know him personally, so I can't speak for that. But I know I would care about the money.
You're talking about there again, IGFA. I didn't never heard of them. And I think it was, and I could be wrong. I'd have to look back, which I'm not going to do now, but it was 80. I moved to West Palm Beach, Florida to live with my real dad. It was 86 or 87. I was fishing on Lake Worth Pier. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Lake Worth Pier in West Palm Beach, Florida. Well, this guy, he's a janitor for the West Palm Beach school system. He caught the world record permit. And me and 6 other guys was out there when he caught this fish. And I was talking to the guy that run the pier, and there was 2 guys came from Florida Marine, whatever they called it, Marine Patrol, whatever it was. And they wanted my phone number and my information. So about 3 days later, a guy calls me and was asking me, he said, did I know Roy Booker? And I said, yeah, I know him. I'm not like best friends with him. I know him from fishing out on Lake Worth Pier. So he started asking me all these questions. He said, did Roy hand that rod off to him? Did anybody else touch that rod? And I said, no, sir. And he said, did his rod touch the pier at any time? And I said, what do you mean touch the pier? He said, did he prop the rod up? Did the butt of the rod or did the front of the rod, did he use the pier? Did he prop it up on the pier while he was fighting the fish? And I said, not that I seen. I said, I was watching the whole time. I didn't see, he caught the fish. Nobody helped him, I don't. So then I found out later, because I told Roy about it about 2 weeks later when we was on the pier. He said they interviewed everybody. They wanted to talk to everybody there to make sure that nobody else touched the rod. Nobody else helped him fight that fish. And he didn't let that rod touch the pier in any way. So basically what they were saying is if that rod would have touched the pier or if he'd propped it up on the pier, he was using the pier as leverage against the fish and it would not have been a record. But they classified him and he did get that IGFA permit, world record permit. And I think it held for about 5 years. And I don't know what it is now, but so they check that shit. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. I think they're going to stick with their guns. They're not going to overturn it this week. I can go ahead and tell you that.
Yeah. I don't think so either. Yep. Going to the comments right here. First of all, number 1, JR, I thought you were supposed to be watching a movie. You can't be watching a movie and commenting at the same time. Come on. Come on.
It's a date night, baby. Date night.
I know, right? What kind of date night is this, huh?
Dieter, you was going to explain about Facebook's algorithm or why we wasn't seeing some of your posts.
Oh, yeah. Anytime there's some stuff that will not show up or doesn't get distributed a lot. If I post a link to a YouTube video,
I've noticed that
it will not get disseminated by Facebook because they don't want you going off platform to go watch something somewhere else. Same thing, and I've experimented with this heavily. If you ever watch my feed, you will see me post stuff. It's like, why the hell are you posting this? And it'll be a link to a news story. If it takes you off platform, Facebook does not want you to see that. So it barely, you got to have somebody coming to your page to see you on purpose before they're actually going to see it. So
I've noticed that if I've shared anything on our store or my YouTube, even my family members don't see it a lot of times.
Yeah, you have to be, you have to, now when I do my shorts that I put on YouTube, I also do that same short on Facebook on my fishing page, and it will distribute it, it will show it, and it will send it out to people just fine. They just don't want you clicking on the video and going to YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok.
If it's got an external link of any kind, you're done.
Yep,
Explain this though. How come there's some folks on my Facebook that I don't see feeds from at all? Period. Unless I go in the profile and boom, they're all there.
Are you following them? You have to hit the follow button on the page. So you could like go to my page and hit like. That's great. Thank you. But if you don't hit follow, the algorithm will not serve it up to you.
So
content.
There's a difference between the whole follow feature with someone that's a friend versus a business guide service or
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, what they do. And I speak of like friends, like people that are close friends that I talk to all the time. I'm friends with them on Facebook, but I don't see anything they post on Facebook unless I directly click on the profile, and there it all is.
Yeah, they've changed some of that stuff around. It used to be if they would post something controversial that was tied to a topic, it would get distributed because they wanted you to get sucked into it and watch it. But like on my Dieter Melhorn Fishing Facebook page, they want me to buy boosted ads and boosted posts.
I get that all the damn time on my guide service too, and I refuse.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, that's the whole, that's the whole formula for that kind of. Matter of fact, when I open up Facebook, it automatically takes me to the business page and not my personal page because that's where they want you.
So as far as boosting that, I actually did that during the whole COVID time frame when I was out of work and guiding full time. I did the whole boost feature, and it actually did work to get local followers. Like it kind of sort of directs it. You get to choose like your criteria as far as males between the ages of 18 and 50 or whatever, but one thing I know is the boost profile is like you pay per day, but the first day you pay for is literally a waste because they have to approve it and it's garbage. But
luckily I don't have to do that. I've got more guide trips than I can do just from the YouTube
I know, right?
But it's the Facebook, it's one of those things. I don't know how much buying ad stuff would do. Maybe it would, but it's social media is good for marketing, promoting a guide business. It's tremendous for it, but it's a collective kind of thing. You've got to be doing it in little play. There's not a one button. I'm going to pay you $200 a month, and that's not going to work. You got to have it all over the place. So you got to have a lot of cross pollination going on.
Absolutely. Now, what if you've got? Does it matter if you've got a lot of friends and who's you can see first comes up in your feed? Because I've got like 3,000 friends on Facebook, and I got a lot of friends. I'm like, damn, I haven't seen nothing on them lately, and I used to see their stuff all the time. Then I can go search them and like something on their page, and then their stuff will start coming back up.
That's part of the algorithm. It learns you because you clicked on them. You all of a sudden triggered the algorithm to say, hey, he would like to see their stuff. But the people you never visit.
They've changed a lot of the last election cycle because they were trying to stimulate controversy, and they were anything that was controversial, they were, serving it up and basically letting everybody fight amongst themselves. And they've kind of had their chops slapped for doing that. So they're trying to redo some of that. But when something gets topical, I had all kinds of stuff the past 2 days show up about Big Rock, and people that have no clue who they are suggested follow or whatever they put on there. So, that's kind of the way it works now. So you just have to, it's all changing too. That's the thing. All of it's evolving. They're figuring out the next best thing. They're competing with TikTok and that whole world. And it's ever changing.
This Big Rock thing's like the biggest thing in fishing right now, isn't it? I mean, this is the biggest. Biggest drama in fishing. Biggest drama I've ever seen in fishing.
It's the biggest thing since the whole walleye thing.
Since the walleye tournament.
Yep.
And what made that drama? What made that particular tournament? Because people's been doing that for years and been getting caught for years. What made that particular tournament?
The cell phone video. That cell phone
we are
video
in a new era right
blew
now.
That up.
Cameras looking at you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Somebody's
when they sat there and had video of them cutting those weights out of that fish and them that was the thing right there that blew it up, man.
It was about to be a riot and people were waiting for a fight. They're watching the full video, to see, and that's what triggers it too. I mean, I worked in digital marketing prior to
About as big as Peter stashing them hybrids on Lake Norman in that cage. Remember?
I tell you, that's right. That's right. Don't tell no one.
Gage.
You weren't supposed to know. You weren't supposed to tell no one about that. Come on, it's our secret, man.
Hey, hold
Oh,
on, man.
Lord.
JR said, I'm going to get on here and just to show me the difference in the Tiger Series rods. JR, come on here and tell me the difference. And tell me what kind of rod. Tell me the rods I'm using wrong for all the fish I'm catching. Maybe I can catch more fish if I switch
You
rods.
made a comment about 10 minutes ago. It's all old news now.
Wes, I saw earlier you were talking about which rod.
Yeah, hey,
There you go. Now, Mercer, I'm going to tell you right now, after that tournament, I made a lot of damn haters. But I'm going to tell you what, in the last, I'd say several months, some of those haters have kind of come back around finally.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
that's what I ordered, John. I ordered it about 2 hours ago.
Is that a 50?
Big money.
Oh,
One
30.
service call, man. That's all it took. One service call.
Dang. That 30 wide, 669. I got a steal on mine, my 80s, so can't complain.
Oh, shit now.
Uh-oh, here he is. Oh, hell.
Oh, shit now. All right.
Hey, JR,
It's been a
tell me
great
what-
show, guys. It's time to
Tell me
go.
what kind of rod I should put this on.
I'd go with a Okiaya.
Put your glasses on, JR.
Okiaya Big Daddy.
How was that movie, JR?
It was the Black Mirror. It was good. I mean, it's been over. My wife's already asleep.
Well, glad you could join us, buddy. Yeah, we wound up. We thought it was just going to be me and Pete. Now we got 6 people
God
on
dang,
here.
it's been a great show, yeah. We've
Yeah.
been all over the
Yeah.
place, but yeah.
I'm drinking
on
chocolate milk, Dieter.
I hear you.
Good
I'm out.
for you.
I ran out of my Jack and Coke.
Okay, so about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, Ugly Stick, Shakespeare Ugly Stick, come out with a jigging rod called a Tiger Light. It's LITE. They have a whole series of Tiger rods. Wes has the Elite rod, which is the latest addition to the Tiger series. It's not a jigging rod, and you shouldn't be using it for high-speed offshore jigging. It's too heavy. It's not the right tool for the job, and to pair it with a Stella is just that absolute blasphemy. And any offshore fisherman worth his weight in salt is going to horse laugh you behind your back. So here's the rod that you
did
should.
pretty good to me.
Here's the
Been
rod.
catching a lot of
Yes,
fish.
it will work, but there are
Okay.
better tools. Anything would work. You could get an old glass rod from the flea market with a wooden handle, and it would work. But I'm telling you, there are better
Fish it
tools for the job. Let me show you what a Tiger.
JR's on fire. Let him talk
Show me
right
what
now. I
I
like
need,
this.
brother.
I
Show
like
me what
this.
I need.
I like this.
Show me what I need.
JR's like the fishing historian on all the stuff. It's like
JR came
Here-
on
here
with
is
fucking
a-
vengeance
This
right now.
this is a Tiger rod. This isn't the Elite, but this is a Tiger rod. You see how
No, stop.
see the colors and the wraps? They look identical to all the other Tiger rods. It's very easy to get confused. This rod is rated 20 to 50 pound line. This is great for like a pitch bait rod, like pitch bait to tuna, cobia, anything like that. It's great to have on your deck for that purpose, which is what you should be using that Elite for. Now, here's the rod that you need for high speed jigging.
He got all his rods out to show me this too.
This is a much smaller blank. This rod, you see how it looks identical. This rod is rated, I told you the other one, which with a much thicker, larger blank, was rated 20 to 50 pound line. This rod is rated 50 to 100 pound line with a smaller blank, and it's light as a feather. Ugly Stick outdid themselves on this jigging rod, and for the money, there's no way I would buy a Travala or any other high dollar jigging rod when you can get this much value in a rod. And it's rated for, and this is how you can really tell, it's rated for up to 200 gram lure. That's how they, like butterfly jigs, which is what you high speed jig with. They're rated in grams. That's what they look like right there. And if you look on the side of that one, that is actually a 200 gram jig. They're pretty heavy. You're going to get down pretty quick with them.
JR, you missed something. You missed something earlier. I've got my Ugly Stick roller rod here.
Yeah.
Did you see this? Did you see
Yes.
this? Ugly Stick.
No,
roller
I've seen,
rod.
but I've seen Ugly Stick roller rods.
Yeah.
They're good rods. They're heavy. They're mostly glass.
You can actually see it there written on there.
They
What
do
kind of
it
reel
in
you got
they
paired with
do it
that?
in grams because it's shiny shit. Let's not.
Yeah.
That's why they do it in grams.
I don't know why they don't do it in ounces, but
Man,
what
let
kind
me
of
tell
reel
you
you got
what,
there?
this-
Was that a TLD? That's a 50 wide TLD.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful reel. The line capacity is nice, but the problem I have with using a TLD with that much line capacity is the fish that you're going to be targeting that require that much line capacity has the ability, unless you're shark fishing,
shark fishing. That's all it's for. Well,
that's great, perfect for shark fishing. But if you were to try to like catch a 100+ pound tuna or a blue marlin or something like that with that reel, it's going to put so much torque on that graphite frame that it's going to twist.
Where am I going to get one of those in a 19-foot Carolina skiff 5 miles offshore?
Anytime you twist that frame, the gears are going to be out of line, and it's
don't tell me that,
catastrophic.
John. I'll be trying.
TLD handled that dang 70-pound yellowfin barely, but we got it in. So one thing I missed, man, remember like back in the early 2000s, those ugly stick 10, 12-foot crappie rods?
Yeah.
Those were some damn good rods, man, back then. No longer, gone.
So, Peter, do you do any spider rigging type fishing with the longer crappie rods?
I have yes and no is the answer to that. I don't enjoy it because my boat has never been set up for it. But
let me answer that for you. Dieter.
I'll just talk to you, JR. I mean,
he doesn't. And I'll tell you why he doesn't.
Wes, I've got a question for you. I'm going to ask JR. Let him answer.
Peter doesn't spider rig because Peter fishes the Yadkin chain of lakes when he fishes for crap. There's no limit on them. Any lake that you fish where there's no size limit, no creel limit, that means that they're just overran with crappie, and you don't need to spider rig.
No, there's a size limit on crappie in South Carolina.
This is the reason why right here that the show don't do well when JR's on here because he doesn't
answer, Peter.
I never finished what I was about to say, but so I left that but before JR damn jumped on this dang shit. But the times that I had spider rigged, it was necessary, and guess what? We won tournaments spider rigging. So yes and no.
I've never tried it. So I've got a boat. Well,
there's certain times of year where spider rigging is better versus others. I'd say late summer and into the fall, spider rigging is paramount. There's times late spring, I guess, when these fish come off the beds. Spider rigging is very good because they school up right before they hit brush. That's when they school in large schools, and spider rigging. If you get to pinpoint that school of crappie, you jump on top of them and you can wax their ass basically.
So
but
Mercer got
spider rigging is something I don't really enjoy doing, like if I'm fishing by myself or with a friend. But on guide trips, yes, I'll do it.
Okay. What did you want to ask me, Dieter?
Oh, I'll ask JR if I have a question.
Ask me if you have a question.
Okay.
I see Mercer got to experience the pods of pogies right off the beach in late June, so that's nice. And he threw the net, got overzealous, filled his tank up.
Oh, there's a man trail.
Shocker.
John brought the man.
I just have to compare Benji. Okay, here's a 7,000, and here's an 80 wide. I don't think they're going to do the same species.
I'll show you yours. If you show me mine, I'll be right back, big boy.
Oh, God.
I love this show.
The lakes that Peter fishes for crappie, they have pogies like Mercer caught. That's how thick the crappie are where Peter fishes for crappie.
Dieter, let me tell you something. We were almost 2 years ago now. Me and JR was fixing to go out on a cobia trip in Chesapeake Bay, so we did a live video. And we were both together. And for whatever reason, we were doing it on my page, and we was talking about fishing. And at one time, we had like 80 people watching. I was like, damn, this is crazy. So when we got done with that video, I said, JR, I said, we need to start doing a fishing show every weekend to talk about fishing. And that's how this show got started. And look at us now. We're growing.
There you go. There you go. Those are pretty reels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What them Avets?
So one's an Avet and one's a Canyon.
Who made Canyon? I've heard of Canyon.
There's the actual model number on that one right there.
Now, is that the right reel, JR? Is that the right rod for that reel?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But
what's wrong with it, JR? Tell us what's wrong with it.
Yeah, tell me.
Let me look at it. Let me give it a little peek here.
Is that the Raptor?
Is it full roller?
Which Avid is that?
Okay,
so this one's the Avid right here. Show you the rod. All roller.
That's a kite rod.
No.
It's awfully short.
Damn catfish. You don't know.
It's awfully short. Is it a bridle? Is it to use for a bridle?
With the
Well, it's a specialty rod. Tell us what it is.
it is for
It's a boom stick.
planer fishing or high-speed trolling.
It's for what?
Fishing with a planer or high-speed trolling.
Yeah, bridled planer. Yeah, or high speed trolling. Just high speed trolling? No, it's not. Mm-mm.
Hey, let me tell you what, boys.
You're doing.
Hey, let me tell you something cool. Lead core line worked awesome for Spanish down at the beach, though. Don't have to mess with planers or nothing. You just
I've wondered
three
about
to
that.
3 to 4 colors at 6 mile an hour, bro. Couldn't pull them in fast enough. It was awesome.
Did you get any blues doing that?
No, we didn't stay out but about 2 hours. We were putting in Spanish every 5 minutes. I mean, you couldn't even get the lines back out, and we was pulling them back in. But it was.
Did you fix that direction I was telling you about there by the big hill?
I didn't make it up there. We went out Shalot Inlet and took a right first, just because the waves dictated the direction I wanted to go.
You didn't catch any of those 80-pound kings that Pete talks about that are on the beach in June?
No, I was wanting to. I had some other stuff I wanted to try, but it was just nasty. My boy wasn't feeling good.
I want to show you a big one this weekend, JR, on the beach.
Just take a red straw, go to the pier, and wear the Spanish out. Well, why waste the gas and use a boat and take all your gear and go through all that trouble to go catch Spanish when you can just walk out on the pier and catch them?
Because I'd rather fish from my boat any day of the week.
For real, that's right.
I don't care what it costs.
Hey, David, do you notice, like when I fish planers for Spanish, that they're flopping on top of the water and all you're doing is just reeling them in?
I mean, it's a three.
At 6 mile an hour, they still come to the top, and you're just gonna surf them in. But
crappie fish. Why not just go crappie fish if you're gonna catch?
But it was definitely nothing like fighting a planer. I mean, it was more enjoyable than that. It was but
when you're cranking in a planer, you know what's on the other end of that.
Yeah, but you're filling the planer more than you're filling the fish.
So sometimes it's more about the size of the fish than it is the fight.
Okay. I'll believe you.
I guess the lead core won't rust, right? Saltwater won't make it rust.
I wrenched everything off good. I mean, it's like anything. I guess you could get oxidation build up in the fibers of the.
They wrenched it. They wrenched it.
I wrenched it off. I even used some of the.
Country as hell. I wrenched.
I wrenched
it all.
Oh Lord!
I love this show.
I ain't learned how to talk proper like Dieter yet. I'm working on it.
That's funny.
What do you call it? How do you say it? Rinsed or wrenched?
Rinsed.
You asking me?
Yeah. How do you say it?
Wrenched.
Rinsed.
You talking about wrenching the fish in? Yeah, you're gonna wrench it in.
Wrench.
No, not wrench.
Rinsing the boat off or rinsing your gear off.
Rinsing the boat off.
Yeah.
Rinsing.
Yes, rinse.
Rinsing the boat off.
JR, you couldn't stand it tonight, could you? Had to get on here with us.
Well, you lashed out at me. JR, I buy elite rods. I don't buy them. That's not what I said.
I saw how this shit was rolling. We're about 10 p.m. already.
But your wife's lucky I didn't lash out at you before the movie because she wouldn't have got to watch shit, would she?
No. All right, I'm out.
No, don't go nowhere now. We've got some viewers up. Hey, I'm showing 19 on YouTube and 11 on Facebook. We're rolling. Don't go nowhere now.
You got all your rods out.
So, Dieter,
what else do you have back there?
You got the whole lineup back there behind you.
Those are saltwater boat rods, also known as catfish industry rods.
Hang on,
that's literally all they are stand-up boat rods for saltwater.
Do I need to hang my catfish back here again tonight? My little
I don't
catfish.
believe you'll do it.
Listen.
I don't believe you'll do it.
Oh, bullshit.
You guys are missing out.
Pete mounts his on the stove handle.
You guys are missing out. Wes said that catfish is a gateway fish, and some people never. How about
Mercer?
I started out on
catfish. Mercer, did you watch yesterday?
Kinds of other types.
Yeah, I watched it back this morning.
Do you see my catfish back here?
No, I didn't pay no attention to it.
All right, the catfish. I'll be right back.
Oh my God,
JR,
you can't even pick up a catfish.
JR, on your behalf, I was taken up for catfisherman tonight. Was I or was I not, Dieter?
I mean, you were, but it was kind of you were kind of insulting us, like unintentionally, but it was sort of.
Well, because I said a flathead fights like a striper. How was that insulting?
It was demeaning.
Dieter, was I demeaning y'all? Did I miss
a little
something?
bit?
Not toward JR. We were uplifting him in his absence tonight.
Well, he said I was demeaning because I said a flathead fought like a striper.
Got my catfish back there.
Yeah.
Little
That
wet
a
fish.
green cow?
See, but you've never caught one, so you're speaking from inexperience.
He did catch one on his downrigger ball one time. So
He's never caught a big one.
I've caught my
That
fair
was a big.
share.
That was a big fish that ate his down.
Hey, I got my fish back.
What is that? A largemouth bass?
I don't know. It's one of them battery powered things that sings and dances, you know.
Take me to the river and put me in the water.
Years ago, he remembers that old catfish story. It was legit, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Big mouth Billy Bass.
My damn downrigger ball.
I did release one in a tournament one time, and my friend was trimming his motor down, and the catfish got stuck between the transom and the outboard, came down and pinned him, and we had to raise the motor up so he could swim away.
IGFA rule.
Mutilation, man.
Hey, I was just looking back. I don't know if this was answered or not. Three-way Bubs Sereno. What is the best three-way rig length? I'm assuming is he talking about like a spoon and a bucktail, or three-way rig length? Sometimes I kill it, and sometimes I just get bad tangles and channels.
Oh, okay.
You leave the top one shorter, or
Yeah.
your lighter weight. Shorter. 18, 24 inches on the long one. Is that what you do, Pete?
I do one about 18 inches and one about
Half the length of the other. Like, let's say you 8 foot.
2 and 4, or 3 and
so
6, something like that's what I
foot
normally do.
I don't measure them out. I'm just like, this looks good. This looks okay. Yeah. As long as the one's longer than the other by, I'd say about 1.5 foot.
I'll tell you what I can't do is Dieter used to use these, him and Jeff Manning used to use these lead pencil weights to drag with. I cannot drag with those things. I get tangled up. My rod's doing this, and I'm getting hung up. They are horrible. How did you guys
dig
ever
into
use
the
those?
bottom and the silt? They dig into the bottom and the silt. Yeah.
You talking about a trolling weight or just like the long?
They're talking about
for
catfishing.
It's not a trolling weight. It's a pencil weight that's long, but instead of having like the swivel on both ends like a trolling weight, it's just got one wire clip on one end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
You use like the snake weights now, Dieter, like the flexible. Use like the ones
drifting sticks.
One laying around here.
Drifting weight. I mean, they're like, it's like a bunch of lead loaded into a piece of paracord.
Piece of paracord or shoelace. Yeah, that's what I use when I drift now.
Nothing works better than the drifting sticks. Nothing, in my opinion. I think those things are just worth their weight in gold.
That's your opinion.
I do believe from the small sample, I did a little Dieter test on it, and from my little small sample size, the drifting sticks outperform
I think they have a place depending on what the bottom structure is like. As with pretty much anything in fishing, it has a place, and that's the thing with the flexible or the hard ones. I think there are places where they do work better. So,
and now is this live bait or cut bait?
Either one.
I mainly use cut bait. I try live bait. I try making videos with it. I try to catch fish with it. And reservoirs, I just think it's a whole different animal than fishing in rivers. I think it works better in rivers.
Cut bait or chicken?
Right now?
No, in general.
Oh, I mean, over the course of a year, it's going to be chicken. But there are specific times. I mean, here for the past 2 months, I was pounding all the flatheads on cut bait.
Dieter catches a lot of fish. Dieter catches a lot of fish, but
now that we're getting into the spawn and you're just trying to get fish to bite, chicken's hard to beat. Post spawn, it's going to be a lot of chicken. I mean, I put it to you this way: guide trip. When was it? Yesterday, 12 fish, 10 came on chicken. We're fishing them equal side by side. Day before that, 18 fish, 14 came on chicken. Fishing them equal side by side. It's just it's I think there is some science, even though the biologists from the Wildlife Commission that I'm on their podcast this month argue with that. I don't think they're catfish friendly. Y'all guys will like them.
Fuck
But
catfish,
yeah,
that's right. I don't blame
I think there's a little bit of science to it when it comes to
catfish.
the catfish eating mollusks, mussels, aquatic snails, that kind of stuff.
There was a book I read that we're
Poor
talking
John
about.
is like, shut the hell up. Let's go back to catching saltwater.
Okay, I can't get a word in edgewise, so the next person that interrupts me, I'm going to mute. I'm going to mute.
That's a
Yeah,
lie.
you know how I feel.
The lie detector test has determined that's a lie.
I read a book. It was I forget the name of it. It was something. What's so funny about that? Anyway,
He muted you.
Unmute me.
Weston.
Am I still
You're not
muted?
muted. No.
No, you're not muted now.
Well, the guys were using chicken breast to catch striper. They were catching striper on chicken breast in Tennessee. And
Yeah, I've seen that.
You read that book too?
I heard about it, and I didn't read it. I've seen it. I've
The
seen
name
it
of the
done,
book
though.
was Trophy Stripers and Hybrids was the name of the book. I forget the author, but so anyways, they were catching stripers on chicken breast, big stripers, and their theory was that the chicken smelled like shad. I don't know. I know that Dieter's had. What is your theory on the chicken and the?
Well, when we say, here's my thing. When we say smell, we equate our human and the biologists. We had a good scientific discussion of this. We equate what we associate with smell to a fish smelling the same thing. The worse it smells, the more they're going to smell
Well,
it.
they're smelling it through the water. They're tasting it / smelling
But
it at the same time.
as they explained to me, we have it's some of that Pavlovian stuff of where we smell a steak. Our mind is programmed to know that that's a good smell. That's going to taste good. Subconsciously, our mind is going, that's protein. It's high in these amino acids, minerals, blah, blah, blah. This is what we need for our body. So we want to eat it. Same thing in the fish world, except a lot less words, a lot simpler, just stuff of like, this has got lysine in it. My body needs lysine. It's the protein, blah, blah,
Sometimes
blah.
we can complicate things a little too much. I know Einstein once said, if you can't explain something simply, you simply don't know enough about it.
Well, let me explain it to you this way. Okay. Blue catfish are not native to any of our waterways here. Okay. They are from
Arkansas.
They are west of the Eastern Continental Divide. So Asiatic clams, raise your hand if you know where Asiatic clams are from. They're not from here.
China.
Asia being there we go. We got a winner. So how did a blue catfish that is not from here figure out that an Asiatic clam, which is not from here?
Well, what else? What do they have to choose from, Dieter? Mud, fish, clams. So there's only so many things that
answer my question. How did they figure that out? They figured it out because they're able to sense what is inside of that thing. That
the same way any other animal does. Exactly. Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah, and that's my point is that they figured this out, and I think they're able to figure that out with chicken. So I do think that they're less likely to hit chicken anchored than they are with it moving. I think there's more of a reactionary strike with it.
So it's not that they're mistaking it for something that like shad, that it smells similar to shad or mussels. It's not that they're mistaking it. It's just that they know that it's an edible. They know that it's a food source.
In it they can eat. Yep. Exactly right.
So let me ask you guys this: have any of you ever used? And this is how I grew up fishing. And you catch a ton of catfish, and then once you catch all the catfish out, you'll catch a striper. But my grandfather, and this was his secret. And I'm all for sharing, but he would take a gizzard shad, 10-inch, 12-inch gizzard shad, and he'd rip the belly open, and he'd scoop what he called the gizzard.
Yeah, nothing's better.
And
round thing,
it just doesn't last long enough.
Not just sometimes the round thing would be all that came back up. I mean, he'd take the whole thing, the whole purple schlop, whatever. We always called it the gizzard. I'm sure it has an anatomical name.
I just call it guts.
Guts, yeah. But I've never, and I've always live bait fished in tournaments. But when we were at West Point Lake in Georgia, I looked at my fishing partner and I was like, man, we've been getting skunked. I was like, we got to do something. It's 1 o'clock. We were down to like 4 or 5 baits, and I ripped the belly open, and literally it was like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that is a great technique. Me and Spivey used to do that all the time. And the thing about it is, it's not just gizzard shad. It's literally any fish. You can go bass, crappie. You cut their bellies open, you rip them guts out and put them guts on a hook. You're going to catch something. And problem is, it's hard to keep the small fish off the hook. So you're going to go through it pretty quickly. But there used to be a company that sold a mason jar full of guts. I forget the name. You remember that, Dieter? They were selling guts in the mason jars. They'd ship it to you.
Yeah, that's actually the guys that go down below the. Matter of fact, there is the thumbnail off of a video I've got where I'm.
There you go.
With them.
That's a gizzard.
Yep, that's a gizzard. And but there's a lot of the guys that go below the watery dam and do the dip net with the big shad when they come up there. That's what they end up doing, is selling them to striper fishermen, because honestly, that's all they do is cut that out of them and use that for striper fishing, cut bait stuff. So yeah.
So and when
I've actually had some. Oh, I've had some striper fishermen reach out to me privately about. They claim they use chicken breast. They've seen my videos and they claim they use chicken breast to catch stripers. I guess it's post spawn when they're supposedly coming back down I say spawn. I'm talking about Tennessee River guys, the false spawn that takes place with them up there when they're coming back down and distributing them through the reservoirs and stuff. So I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but who knows?
So we
Have
used
you
to
ever
always,
fished Tennessee, Dieter? Have you ever fished any catfish anywhere up in Tennessee?
Yeah, I fished Watts Bar, Loudon, Tellico, and Chickamauga. So
You like the fishing up there? Is catfishing good up there?
I do. I do. I like.
He's got a video. Go, Wes.
Yeah, I've got some. There are parts I like. Tellico is not one of them, but yeah, Watts Bar's good. Loudon's good. Chickamauga is amazing. It's just, it's a lot of big water. Those are big, massive bodies of water out there, and it's a lot of people get
guys. In case you were wondering, Trophy Stripers and Hybrids.
Hybrids. Okay.
we never saw the title.
Great
we never
book.
heard the title because Wes muted you.
It's a great book.
Chris Brown, we were actually, and I didn't know this. Since we're talking about catfishing, I know there's a little bit different. They like different temperatures than striper, but we were at Tellico one night. We were striper fishing, cut baiting. Chris Brown caught a 58-pound flathead in 58-degree water. Isn't that kind of cold for catfish?
No,
it is.
Blue cats
a little
love cold
cold
water.
No, I
I'm
said
sorry.
a flathead.
I'm sorry. I didn't. I thought you were asking me. Sorry.
Peter, come on now. Did you just say that 58 degrees is too cold for catfish, for a big catfish?
No, I said
flathead.
is.
You said a flathead catfish,
Flathead.
right?
Oh, flathead.
Yeah,
Okay.
flathead. It's on the lower. It's starting to get below that 60-degree threshold. But here's the deal: you can catch one anytime, no matter how cold it is. It's just your chances of catching them go up dramatically once that water gets above 60 degrees, especially, and I mean that coming into the springtime as it starts to warm. You get around that 60-degree temperature in the fall, you're starting to get into that period where they really start to, I ain't gonna say go dormant, but they become a lot more inactive, especially once it drops into the 50s.
So what's a good
So
water?
John can back me
temperature?
up on this here for sure. On High Rock Lake, we don't fish it much anymore because of how shitty it is. But back in the day when we did fish a good bit, like the coldest of winter days, we would absolutely wax the flathead catfish trolling for striper with lead core or live bait, whatever. I mean, I'm talking about water temperature 46.
Yeah, they never go completely dormant, really, around
Well, I mean,
here.
we would absolutely catch 5, 6, 7 per day, and they're good fish too.
That's amazing. That's amazing in that water temperature.
You have to also think that High Rock is they're loaded with flatheads.
It is loaded, yes.
Loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were probably juveniles, which are much they can tolerate much more extreme
15,
temperatures than
30
your
pounds?
larger fish.
15, 30 pounds?
There's a big difference between 15 and 30. Which was it?
Between 15 and 30
Oh,
pounds.
okay. I'd like to see a pic of you holding a 30-pound flathead.
I don't take picture of trash.
Yeah, if you catch a 30-pound flathead, I promise you'll take a picture.
I don't
We
take
would-
pictures
we
of
would-
trash.
we would know about it.
What's a good temperature for catfish? Flathead, blues. What's the ideal temperature you look for? What's a good temperature?
Get above 60 in the spring, life starting to happen.
Listen,
That
here's how you
70-degree
catfish.
mark's hard to beat.
Here's how you catfish, Wes. Everything that you know about freshwater landlocked stripers, apply it to catfish. You're done.
There's a lot of
So-
truth in that.
Easy button, in other words, easy.
Well, but striper, I'm subject to catch bigger striper anywhere from 55 to 58 degree water.
Yeah, about the same for catfish.
Yeah, stripers are definitely like the colder water better.
Now, catfish, you're grouping all the catfish. There's over 300 different species of catfish. You have to be more specific. That would be like
what we fish for around here. I'm not over in Africa fishing for some gone.
you at least have to distinguish between flatheads and blues.
Well, that's what I said. I
They're
said
different.
catfish in general around here. You know, what's the ideal temperature for the
If you're
catfish?
going out to target flathead, you're gonna probably want to use live bait. You're gonna want some live perch.
I'll call you, Wes. I'll call you and tell you that. No,
Okay.
blues have very similar patterns to what stripers do as far as what they do, how they move, when they're feeding. They'll feed in a lot colder water than like a flathead.
I know why
Catfish,
you
they
don't
really
catch big
do.
catfish all the time. Dieter's caught a lot of big catfish, but the only reason Dieter's caught a lot of big catfish is because Dieter's caught 1 million fish. Anybody that catches 1 million fish is likely to stumble upon a big one. every once
Absolutely
in a while,
right.
which is
You're
what Dieter
absolutely
does.
right.
Me,
You're absolutely right.
I've never really been as adamant about fishing as Dieter has. Dieter fishes, he has fished more in a year than I've probably fished for catfish in my entire life.
Absolutely.
But when
Okay,
I want to go target big catfish, I'm much more likely to catch big catfish than Dieter is.
Right,
Do
right. I mean, you
catfish-
look at
just my
that
opinion.
Patriot James
That's just my
tournament.
opinion.
You beat me in. Oh wait, you didn't beat me in that one. Let's think of another one. I'm trying to think. We'll get to one in a second. But
And that's the
Do
only one, Dieter.
catfish-
That's the only one.
no.
Do
Okay,
catfish-
Dieter.
Now we're
Wait a minute,
talking
Wes.
about-
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Oh,
Hang
I'm
on.
sorry. I'm
Hang
sorry.
on,
I'm
hang
sorry.
on. Now you made me lose my train of thought, so now you have to give me an extra minute to
Now he
remember what the hell I was
understands.
saying.
Now you
Oh,
know
I
what
was
I'm
gonna
saying.
tell
Derail.
No one cares.
I was
no
going
one
to tell
cares,
Dieter
no one
what
cares.
he's doing wrong.
Everyday thing. Every day.
I got to tell Dieter what he's doing wrong and what he can do to catch more big catfish. And it has nothing to do really. Well, it doesn't have as much as you would think to do with bait as it does
nothing
water.
to do with bait.
It's got a little bit to do with bait, Dieter. Come on,
Not
a
really.
little bit. So, what Dieter does wrong, and the reason he doesn't catch more big catfish than he does, is he doesn't fish deep enough.
I'm going to tell you what he does wrong.
Dieter, what do you for the majority of the
Or
time?
should I say
What
does
water
right.
depths
Y'all,
do you
they're gonna throw this
target
up here.
catfish?
Peter
What water
There-
depths?
there is
guide
no-
trips.
No answer to that question. I mean, that's
So,
that's like going majority of the time. What speed limit do you drive at?
so Dieter runs
Well,
guide
is there a limit
trips. Don't
on
matter in guide
depth?
trips.
Do you
One that
pay
keeps the
attention to
rod
depth?
bent.
What were you saying, Peter?
So, he's talking about what Dieter's doing wrong, but Dieter's running guide trips. He don't fun fish much.
No, I'm
anymore.
not telling you
All
what he's
about
doing
keeping
wrong.
the rod
I'm telling you
bent.
my
Hey,
opinion.
don't interrupt me now, by God.
Well, don't say things that I didn't say. Don't say
Yeah.
I said things that I
Dieter
didn't
runs
say.
guide trips. So it's all about numbers and keeping that rod bent versus chasing that
Yep.
big fish. That's what it's all
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I'm not arguing that at all. I'm just telling you the reason he catches 1 million fish and only two of them are over 50 pounds.
Well, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Who are you asking? Are you asking JR?
Well, both of y'all. Do catfish?
JR, please
really-
answer for me, JR.
Okay.
Dieter, you still haven't answered my question.
Wait a minute. I
What's
just
too
lost
deep
my,
for
I just lost
catfish?
my train. I just lost my train of thought. Give me another minute. No, seriously, it does. Y'all are comparing catfish to striper. As far as like the way to target them, right?
Yeah.
Do they like current, like a striper likes current?
Yes. 100.
So they will get in current.
100%.
No,
Yes.
no, not to the extent that stripers like. Stripers basically grow up in that kind of current. You can catch blue catfish
No, they
in
don't.
that, but they will end up ducking out of it a lot of times. And you have
So
to
do
find more
stripers.
places. To a large extent, but stripers you can catch in the middle of a bowl somewhere.
You can
They
catch
like getting in the
catfish-
middle of that stuff.
Well, okay. Yeah, you can catch the catfish in front of the boil. Maybe not in the middle of the boil, but in the front of the boil.
Gotcha.
They're around. But they do love current. Upriver on Wiley, when flood conditions and water's coming over the dams and the water's tomato soup, go up there with some grocery store baits, some chicken, some gizzards, some whatever, and wear them out up above 74. I mean, catch more, 10 to 20 pound blues than you've ever caught in
As
massive
big
amounts
as
of current.
Volkswagens.
Big as Volkswagens. Divers are scared to go down anymore.
Listen, I don't think Dieter is answering my question because he feels like I'm insulting him. I'm not insulting you, Dieter.
No.
I'm really wanting
You
to
don't
know.
have the intelligence to do that.
Yeah, maybe
what was
I
the
don't.
question? What was the question?
You are. I would definitely bet money that you're smarter than I am, and I've never said otherwise. But I just really want to discuss how deep is too deep for targeting catfish on Lake Wiley, for example.
How deep is too deep? 70 feet on Wiley is too deep.
So how deep do you tend to fish for catfish? Is there a depth?
I don't think he got my joke. Wiley's like 66 feet at its deepest point.
I don't know. I don't fish the lower end of Wiley. I don't know how deep it gets. I know
Sorry.
you're not going to find over 40 feet of water north of Mill Creek, but I mean, other than that, I don't really know it that well.
Let me ask you this, Cheryl. What is the reason for a big catfish to be in the deepest hole on the lake?
Well, we know that catfish spawn in areas where there's plenty of food, i.e. mussel beds. And we know that catfish, just like any other species, are going to, if you catch, we call them cookie cutters. If you catch a small catfish, chances are they're in a big school. There's lots of them. As catfish get bigger, just like any other fish, the schools get smaller and smaller and smaller until they turn into wolf packs, and then they run in 2s and 3s and 4s, and then once they reach a certain size, 99% of the time they're loners. They're by themselves. They are the king of the jungle. There's no other. They don't need to run in a school any longer. They're top of the food chain. They're apex predators. Does that answer your question?
No, it does not. Why would you fish in the deeper? Why would the fish be in the deeper part of the lake?
Comfort.
Or river.
Comfort.
The whole.
There's a lot of different variables. It could be like, for example, during post spawn, the catfish. A lot of times.
May I answer this question? Not being a catfish fisherman, I'm going to use Lake Norman as an example. The only time, so I don't fish with catfish because I can't fucking stand them. It's not that I can't stand them; they're no fun to me. Period. All right, but
fair enough. And that's fair. I have no problem with that.
There is a time of year where you will see these catfish on Lake Norman in the deepest pools, but they're not deep. They're up high, chasing bait, chasing fish die-offs.
Oh, they're chasing. There's bait there too. Yeah, imagine that.
So there you go. So I know back in the day, during the heat of the summer, it's 100 degrees outside, but you're catching these fish 20, 15 foot deep over 110 foot of water.
Yeah,
we've caught them 40 and 50 feet deep in there too. Yeah,
they're definitely suspended during that time of year.
Can I ask a question?
Who's it?
A lot of that's due to the mussels.
My turn. My turn.
No, you lost my train of thought. My train of thought as big as Volkswagens. Anyways, I got to tell you this interesting story. One day, I was fishing the nuke plant there on Lake Norman, and there was a dead striper kind of circling out there in the boil, and there was a big catfish that was coming up there every so often and taking a chunk at it, like a damn shark, right?
Trying to bust them open.
Taking a marlin almost. But
I'm just imagining these fucking whiskers and stuff turn into a bill.
So I actually threw a super spook out there and snagged this dead striper floating around, and I let it sit there for a little while. And I'm watching this catfish come up and just taking chunks, and by God, this catfish took the damn wrong chunk and took my dang plug. And it was about I'd say 50.
Dude, I miss those days when that water temperature late July hit around 87, 88 degrees. Striper started dying, and the vertical fishing for catfish was just beautiful. You had about 3 weeks there where it was just wonderful. Dead stripers floating everywhere. The smell, the boats netting the dead ones.
Dieter, do me a favor. Just say
that bite still happens. It has nothing to do with the dead stripers. That bite, they still suspend down there.
Just say this 3 week window. Just say 3 week window. Say the word window. Come on, do it.
Window.
There you go, Wes. Window. See, bing, bing, bing. There you go.
Your turn, Wes.
Now I'm not talking about catfish or downgrading, so don't take this wrong way.
Volkswagens.
No, but y'all said, I know y'all talk about like catfish hitting on live bait. Can a catfish swim fast enough to catch herring?
Yes, they can outrun stripers.
Okay,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
They can outrun a largemouth bass. They swim they're very fast. Well, that's facts, bro.
I
mean, that's
I
facts.
don't know anything about the facts of how fast they can swim, but I do know there is a correlation. Is not always causation.
Let's Google it.
But,
Let's Google it.
but
How fast can a blue catfish
with the
swim?
increase in spotted bass, white perch, everything else in the lake, so have the size and number of catfish increased. So they can.
All right. Question for the catfish guys. How big do you think that flathead is?
That is Volkswagen.
That looks about 18, 20 pounds.
That is 26 pounds off the dock while I was cleaning after a striper tournament.
That's an honest weight.
We had one.
Thank you. That's way better than catching a 50 to 60 pound blue on a Zera spook. Like,
but let me tell you,
hell no, it ain't.
Hang on, let me tell you what
Sir.
this. We thought it was a crappie. I'm not kidding you. Like it wouldn't even. It was pulled a little drag. I think it must have swam to the shore. It did not fight or roll or.
Man, that thing was
it was
sick,
a big
bro.
Fish.
Like
That
this.
thing was
So
sick.
it was within like 2 foot of water, and then
That
I was
thing
like,
had AIDS.
Big flathead.
Hey,
So
okay,
That's why I don't
JR.
like
It
catfish.
was like this
Hey,
thing, like this
that thing had
mouse
AIDS.
right here.
Hey, here's the physical characteristics of the American blue catfish. Color gray, blue, or silver. Skin type, scaleless. Top speed 1.6 miles an hour. No, seriously. Lifespan 9 to 25 years. Weights 25 up to 150 pounds. Length,
Show us.
24,
Hold the phone up to the screen. Hold the phone up to the screen. Let me see that 1.6 miles per hour. 0.
Hang on.
That's 0.6.
What? That's not one of those websites that tell you that striper
Yeah,
are
that's
in
totally
Lake
not
James.
true.
Like,
Yeah, I know that's not true. That's funny though.
discernment, Wes.
blue catfish facts. I don't know. A to Z animals.
Yeah, that's called an algorithm and AI writing for AI blog writing. So yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Here's the American Blue Catfish Association. Would that be good enough?
American Blue Catfish Association.
That's the ABCA.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's one of those two.
6 to 12 miles.
Oh,
an
the
hour.
ACA, American Catfish. That's the ACA. Okay. there
Okay,
we go.
let's see what they say.
ABC.
We know who runs that organization. I hope he's not in the chat because I'll slap his chops for it. Go ahead. Let's see what Glenn put in there. Of course, he gets all his stuff's AI written anyway. So anyway, go ahead.
2.7
30?
miles an hour.
Yeah, that's not true.
What I found on Google, it says maximum forward speed rarely exceeds 1.5 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Rarely. There you go.
Rarely.
Yeah, now I think they have burst speeds. I don't think they have
So-
any sustained speed. I think their burst speeds are probably
I
pretty
feel
good. But yeah,
like
they're not
this
super
right
fast.
here, drifting in the wind is faster than a 1.5 miles an hour. This little wet dish rag.
Can we get off the subject of the speed of a blue catfish? Because I mean,
They're
all
not.
you guys
Listen, guys. They're not as fast as a striper. If that's the question, they're not as fast.
No, I was just
That's-
asking.
JR was disputing that.
JR's having a hard time
I-
accepting the fact
I
that
wasn't
they're
comparing
not
them to
able to-
striper.
JR
I
is an
was just wondering
arbitration.
If they were
over this.
actually, y'all said they was feed on live bait. If they were fast enough to catch a herring, because I know
Oh my
herring
God,
are quick
they
as shit.
are,
The-
Wes.
the-
They
the
are.
That's what I was
burst
asking.
speed-
I was just asking. I don't know.
They're fast.
The burst speed on them, I think, is good enough to do that. Not to mention a flathead. I mean, they're ambush predators. Everybody says they're bottom feeders. Technically, they are. They feed like a lot of fish from the bottom up. And
They are not,
it's
Peter. A flathead's
it's a-
not technically a bottom
it's a
feeder.
burst deal. They
I don't-
lunge out. Flathead
answer me
can
this,
suck in
Dieter. Is a
a
flathead
lot of water into its mouth because its mouth is so big.
like
and it can suck in a lot of stuff.
99.9% of all other fish? Answer me this,
Exactly.
Dieter.
No, I agree with
is
that.
the primary forage of a flathead catfish? What's the primary forage of a flathead catfish?
We're at.
Anywhere. Live fish. When you target
Oh.
flatheads, people tend to target them with live bait. They have
Well, I
an
mean-
underbite. Any fish with an
No,
underbite isn't feeding off the
absolutely.
bottom.
I have done extensive research and studies, and I have not found a fillet knife in any catfish that we have ever caught. So, cut bait, they don't eat a lot of it.
No, they
And
don't. But blues tend
people
to eat
get
other
pissed off
stuff.
when I say
They eat
that. But they
crawdads.
don't
They eat
eat cutbait.
snails.
It just doesn't
They eat
I got
exist in the
the
mussels.
wild.
secret big
They eat a
catfish
lot of
bait
other.
for you
There's a lot of
guys.
other forage that blue catfish eat that flatheads don't. Flatheads'
Absolutely.
primary forage is live fish. You target
Yes.
flatheads, use live perch, live brim, bluegill. That's what you use to target. You
Hey,
can
it's
catch them on
secret
cut
bait
bait.
that no one thinks of.
But if you go out and
Nice
you put out a
catch.
10-rod spread of live bait, and another guy goes out and puts out a 10-rod spread of cut bait, the guy with the live bait's more than likely going to catch more in flatheads than the guy using the cut bait.
Hey, John, when you troll for marlin, do you troll live ballyhoo? Is that how you do it?
They look
Why
alive.
not?
You break their back, you poop
They're
them, you
dead,
put a
right?
skirt on
They're
them.
dead,
There's
right?
all types of
They're
action on
dead,
them.
just to be clear.
Let me ask
Okay,
you this,
just wanted to make
John.
sure.
When you're trolling a
But-
ballyhoo, if the
but-
ballyhoo doesn't
but
have any
But
action,
there
do
are
you use
other
it?
baits you can use. I mean, people use
When you're
mullet.
trolling a dead ballyhoo,
Yeah.
does it have action? Does it look like a live bait when you're trolling it?
Yes. that's
Yes,
correct.
absolutely.
Does
That's
my bucktail
bait presentation.
trolling for striper look alive? Like
Yes.
live bait?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well,
So why? You know,
Try
never mind.
Peter. Take a swimming pool where you can see the bucktail. Put it in the water and hold it as still as you can. That hair is still moving. So when it's getting pulled by a boat that's running between, however 800 to 1200 RPMs, there's definitely some variation in that speed
Well-
that's making that bucktail have action as it's being trolled.
is
So
this
what
a
you-
naked?
It has nothing to do with the fish being
I didn't
alive.
want
It
to
has
say
to
it,
do with
John.
the
I
action
didn't
of
want
the
to say it,
fish.
John.
You're
Thank
you're
you.
getting a reaction strike more times than not. When you're trolling a bucktail, you're getting a reaction strike. The fish is like, oh, boom, it hits it.
That's why
It's
JR
really
gave up
good.
on striper.
But hey, I got the secret catfish bait for you guys. Dieter, I know I told you this story before on Lake Watery many years ago. I'd say about 5, 6, 7 years ago. About 6 years ago. Out there casting to a school striper, birds going crazy. We snagged a bird, seagull, and had a boat side, and the striper going crazy. So I put that rod in the holder and grabbed the next rod, start casting to him. Next thing I know, this catfish, as big as a fucking Volkswagen, came up and tried and actually ate this damn seagull I had snagged on my
Wow.
on my rod.
Yep. Yeah, it's happened repeatedly down at Santee Cooper when they catch these big 70, 80, 90, 100-pound catfish. They'll put them in one of the herring tanks so they can weigh them the next day. And also people get to see the fish in there. Repeatedly, they have puked up cormorants that they have eaten in there. You come in the next day and there's a cormorant floating around dead in there.
Yep.
I don't know if they get them off top of the water or when they're diving down to hit fish, they intercept them because they're there, but they eat them.
You see what these loons do? They actually sit in big pods on top of the water, so it'd probably be no issue for one to sneak up.
You see a lot of the whales catfish eat them, ducks and other, poultry.
So next time, try using the seagull. See if that might. It's kind of
Isn't
chicken,
that
right?
Isn't that bad luck in the fishing world to like harm a seagull? Isn't that bad luck for a
I don't-
mariner to like harm one or something?
I don't know about that. There's so many of them.
Now we know why Peter doesn't catfish. He's throwing spooks and downrigger balls and seagulls at them.
It works.
I wish I could find. I have a crazy live scope video of a loon on Santee Cooper that you could see the bird, the loon swimming 20 feet below the boat and going after the bait. And at first I was like, that is a huge fish. And then it went under the boat and you could see it flapping its wings and pops its head up. And I was like, guys, let's check the bait. And that son of a bitch kept stealing the bait. If I had something on the boat to eradicate that bird and it was legal, I would have. But we eventually had to move because that's all he would do. We'd drop our baits down. And
Hey, I got a question for Dieter and JR. And I know
Oh
y'all got
God,
different
just pick
opinions
one
on
of us for
Messed up
God's
his
sake.
damn train of thought, man.
No,
Damn.
but what do y'all think? And there again, well, both of y'all can answer this. And y'all probably gonna have different opinions on it, and you may have the same. But what do y'all think
Probably
in the last 5 or 6 years actually got the catfishing industry where it's at now? But what blew it up? Because it's like overnight, it blew up. Sea Arc selling boats out the ass.
Two main reasons: the cost, to target them, and the size of the fish.
Okay.
That's my answer. What's your answer, Dieter?
Is it my turn? Okay.
Yeah.
I believe It is the easiest way to catch a trophy fish in freshwater. And the fish are fairly widely distributed, unlike a striped bass. Striped bass is a great fish, but to catch a trophy striped bass, there are not as many places to do that as you can with a catfish. And the relative ease to do it with, it's a lot easier to catch a 50-pound catfish than pretty much any other 50-pound freshwater fish.
Dieter exactly pretty much said the what I thought in kinder words. I would have said catfish are dumber than a box of rocks, and anyone can do it. That's why.
Well, you've never done it.
Oh, I've done it.
No,
I just choose not
you
to.
haven't.
You know, I'll tell you what.
haven't.
Did you know that the catfish?
I haven't seen one picture of you holding a catfish bigger than 20 pounds.
I will
The
show off.
catfish.
I don't take pictures trash. Plain and simple.
I know that the cat. This is what I do know about a cat. And this guy told me this year's ago at Santee Cooper. Catfish is the second. Has got the second best nose in freshwater. They can smell stuff for miles in the water.
I think they would have the best. They have
It's
the
going
best.
to take them
will
2
say
hours to get
this.
there because they're traveling 0.6
They have
miles.
the
an
best.
They
They
have
can-
to. They have to smell really good because
They
they
can
got to find
smell-
shit quicker than the
they can
faster.
smell and- Can't they smell and taste through like all types of pores and like
Yeah,
their
I've heard all
barbels?
kinds of stuff. Who knows what the truth is on it? I just
Well,
know they're the apex.
Big
They're the
bullshit.
apex predator in freshwater.
So I will say one thing I have noticed by the catfish world, all joking aside, I have noticed over the last many years that there's pretty good money involved with these catfish tournaments.
Yes.
I kind of wish the striper tournaments, there's a lot more of them, especially locally here. But there's no
they
doubt
just
about it.
can't stay
In the last
alive.
3, 4, 5 years that the catfish world has actually exploded as far as tournament fishing, and there being pretty good payouts in tournaments.
And to
Look
what
how-
Peter is saying, part of the deal with the catfish world is striper, and I say this jokingly and give you a hard time, but it is true. They're a much more fragile fish, and that
Yeah.
translates into it's hard to grow a lot of them to trophy proportions. And again, you can't do it everywhere. Hell, it's hard. I mean, you look at the Catawba chain, you got them in water breed. They're never going to be 40, 50
No.
pound fish like you got.
But if you ever thought of this, look at Tennessee. That's an excellent premier striper fishery. Catfishing is still bigger than striper fishing, even in Tennessee. If that tells you how much.
Oh no.
How much?
Not in Tennessee.
I would disagree
No,
with
it's
you
not.
on that.
No, it's not.
Okay,
I would-
let's look
Not
at
in
it.
Tennessee.
Okay, let's look at YouTube.
Yeah.
Who Tennessee?
Striper fishermen
biggest
are a hell of a lot
YouTubers.
more secretive, and they don't
Absolutely.
have YouTube channels.
Tennessee's
Yeah, no,
biggest-
JR. No, I'd have to
Oh my
disagree with
God.
you.
Striper
No, but-
fishing, I think money wise, striper fishing generates a lot more money in eastern Tennessee than catfish.
Yes,
Plain and
by
simple.
a long shot.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
because-
Peter's right. There is not the guys who striper fish over there that are guides have pretty much a locked in clientele base. They don't have to do a lot of promotion and chest thumping. They're booked up from April 1st all the way through July with stuff. And then they got enough to keep them busy after that. So yeah, it's big, but Tennessee's the perfect storm with striper fishing. It's
I mean,
I
we're
don't know,
talking
it's-
about it's apples and oranges though. Catfish, people that. get
Oh,
into
I agree with that
catfishing-
100%. It definitely is apples and oranges. That's the smartest thing you've said all night.
Damn.
The reason people get guides to go striper fishing is to fill the cooler up. They don't give a shit about a trophy striper.
Not in Tennessee.
Most
No,
of them.
I got a
majority-
guy in Tennessee. I got a guy in Tennessee to show me how to catch a big striper. That's why I did it.
There are guides that, but most of your guides in Tennessee are to fill a 120 quart. cooler.
Hey, the striper
There's
king
actually-
over there,
so-
Captain Billy Davis, Melton Hill Bill, he won't let you keep
Yeah,
them.
no, you don't even keep
A
this.
couple,
But most
couple
of the
months
guys,
back, when we fished that tournament in Tennessee, we're looking at these regulations. We're like, you ain't filling no damn cooler in Tennessee because you got two
No.
fish per person. You
exactly.
ain't
That's
filling no damn
across the
coolers
state.
at all.
Nobody goes to Tennessee, JR, to fish.
You go to
fill
South
coolers.
Carolina to fill coolers.
I've been
and
fishing
Georgia.
Tennessee a long time. I know that, Wes. I
Well,
went to
you just,
Tennessee.
you just said they go to Tennessee to fill their coolers.
I was catching Tennessee and the Bulls at Loudon back in 2006.
Yeah, but how many of those fish do you see them keeping? They can't keep more than two.
Yeah, that's
And I
true.
think
But
one can only be big, right? Only one's over X inches.
well, hybrids you can keep 10 in South Carolina. You can keep 10.
And that's
on
where you go to
Clark
fill
Hill,
coolers.
Savannah chain.
Yeah, that's where you fill your cooler. But people don't go to Tennessee to fill their coolers with hybrid.
Well,
striper.
when they go up there in July, they're catching 15-pound striper. They're not catching trophy stripers in July up there at Loudon.
Well, I caught my 52-pound striper up there in July the 18th, actually.
Yeah, but what was the water temp, Wes? You're just saying that to prove me wrong. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 80. I'm talking about 85.
Nobody goes to Tennessee to fill their coolers with striped bass.
You're fishing 57-degree water in fucking July. I know what you're talking about. I'm not talking about that. You're talking about strictly trophy striper
But you
fishing.
said, did you or did you not say people go to Tennessee to fill their coolers?
How many guides do you see up there where you're talking about? You don't see any guides up there?
Yes, I do.
I don't.
Yes, there's plenty of guys that goes to Chilhowie. Plenty of guys don't tell Tellico.
I got to agree with Wes on this one because definitely JR talking about filling coolers and now he's kind of backpedaling as far as that for sure.
Yeah,
go to fill coolers in Tennessee.
What is the regulations on striper in Tennessee?
Two person.
What is the size limit?
What is it?
How many can be over 30? Is it 33 inches, 36 inches? How many can
be? Right?
One over 36 inches and then one over under 36.
Yeah,
15-inch minimum length.
There you go.
Okay, well, they didn't start that 2-fish rule until what, 8 years ago?
I was going to say it's one fish before April 1st.
Well, no, that rule's in. I started going there 6 years ago.
Those regulations didn't get put in place till about 8 years ago.
Yep. November 1st through March 31st, 2 per day in combination. Only one maybe.
Be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I could replace Tennessee with South Carolina, and my point would be made.
I mean, that's Boone. It seems like different lakes have different ones. That's Boone Lake, which I've heard they're monsters on. Cherokee, two per day in combination, 15-inch.
There used to be big fish on the Savannah chain.
Yeah.
But the guys.
Wes's backyard filled my damn cooler in January and went to Tennessee, and I think one day we kept fish and had fresh dinner, and everything else was catch and release.
But at the end of the day, you really don't want to eat nothing out of Tennessee. And I don't know if y'all, and I forgot the hydrogen bomb, the atomic bomb, whichever one of them. The second bomb we dropped when we dropped it on Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Nagasaki
was made right there at a plant on Milton Hill Lake, and anything from that plant downriver is contaminated like hell. Actually, what's the comedian's name? Larry the Cable Guy. He said he took his brother-in-law hunting up there one year, and he said his brother-in-law come back and he said, I just killed a 12-pound buck or 13-pound buck, and he was orange looking. And he said, a 12-pound buck. He said, deer don't get that big. He said, no, it's a fucking rabbit with horns. he said, where'd you get him at? He said, right behind this big plant. And he started telling him about it. He killed it right behind the nuclear plant where they made that bomb. But
isn't it weird that they outlawed the PCBs, like waste, dumping them in the rivers back in like the 70s?
Yeah, but JR, that water is still contaminated.
And that's what I was going to say is the PCB levels when they do tissue samples have continued to increase since then.
It's in the sediment, so
yeah,
right. It never goes away.
Right. Same thing with these old. So I mean, I grew up fishing the Dan River, and you've got the coal ash spill, but you also had all these old textile plants that would release their dye and stuff into the river, and they've done tests in the sediment, where they used to have the drains, and it is when they would churn it up, the smell, it was just terrible. Now I've eaten fish out of there. I'm still living, but who knows what.
But back to catfish.
Well, hold on a minute, John. One thing, but it's funny you say that, John. We got a lake here. It's a very small lake called Conestee, and there was 2 different textile mills on that lake 75 or 80 years ago, and they dumped millions and millions of gallons of dye from textile mills, from dyeing a cloth, and a lot of another chemical coming from the size. Well, anyway, this went on for years and years and years, and of course they stopped it about 20 years ago. But now the dam at Conestee, they're saying is going to rupture at any time. They're fixing to have to spend like hundreds of millions of dollars because they're saying now if that dam busts, it'll contaminate everything from here all the way down to the other side of Greenwood. It'll contaminate drinking water. Everybody will be, they said it's going to actually be a natural disaster in South Carolina if that dam breaks. And all that was, they say that it's so bad that water literally stinks in the summer. You can go through Conisty and smell it.
Yeah, and I think as long as it's not disturbed, it's okay.
Yeah, but they're scared the dam's going to break now. And they say if that dam breaks, it's going to contaminate and kill fish all the way down to Lake Murray.
So I got to ask this question, Dieter, and maybe even John, and even JR, I guess. Would you all say that you've eaten a lot of fish from our local lakes?
Answer that for me, JR, please.
100%. I grew up
All
on
right.
them.
So have you
No, not
noticed
really.
the taste difference from one lake
Yes,
to another?
100%. Yeah. Especially
Okay.
if you're talking like a
Soak them in buttermilk.
tidal
they don't taste
river
the
or
same.
like a Santee, the catfish of Santee. It could be placebo.
Where would you
guess, but-
say the fish tastes better from or worse from?
Santee the best.
Around
saltwater.
here in the south.
No, freshwater.
As far as catfish go, definitely Santee tastes the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I eat blue catfish mainly is what I eat, and honestly, the ones I catch out of Lake Norman seem to be that's where I go to catch my fish. There in Mountain Island. That's just Mountain Island's nice, clean, filtered out water. So Mountain
that
Island
pretty much answers the question right there. If the water is pretty clear and clean overall, the fish tastes a lot better. Now, I'll say hands down, there's one lake that I fish some that the fish taste like complete garbage, and I will not personally eat the fish that come from that lake. We all got those friends that say, "Hey, man, give me some fish," so I keep those fish for those friends. Lake Watery, hands down. Lake Watery, terrible. They taste like complete shit to me, and I don't know what it is. Water quality.
I think it's the nutrient-rich water.
It may be possibly, but this for some reason, striper, catfish, you name it. It just
just because fish don't taste as good, and just because water isn't as clear, it doesn't mean it's nastier. It doesn't. It just means that it's more nutrient-rich.
You know, I did a little bit of research on the Dan River because that's where I grew up fishing, and apparently the fish gills filtrate the toxins out of the meat supposedly, and you're supposed to be able to see when you fillet the fish if it's truly bad meat. So I think it's like 99.9% gets filtered out of the fish.
Does any freshwater fish, are they wormy like say the amberjack in saltwater? Is there any kind of freshwater fish that's known to have worms in them like saltwater fish?
I think every so often you can find worms. I think I've actually seen worms in crappie and maybe even striper, but those times I've seen worms, I can maybe count.
Stripers get them for sure. Yeah, stripers get them for sure.
I thought they were called gill maggots.
Gill mites.
Yeah. I've seen the stuff in the meat. The stuff that's actually in the
meat,
flesh. Yeah.
Oh.
But as Robert Stroud, my beloved South Carolina DNR biologist said, 350-degree grease for 3.5 minutes, it'll kill anything in them.
The house Autry first.
Buttermilk.
Tastes good.
Buttermilk. I'm with the buttermilk train for sure. Yeah.
Buttermilk, soak it in there for an hour.
I have friends that soak
I've always
their fish
heard
in
that
sun drop.
the
You ever heard of that? Sun drop?
Yeah, I have heard of sun drop.
Yeah.
Bleaches it white. I'm like, guys, it's not taking the fishy out. It's actually cooking the meat. That's why it's turning white, is because it has citric acid in it, and it's cooked like that's the way a lot of Asian people will eat. A lot of people say they eat it raw. They're not eating it raw. They're cooking it with citruses.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
All right, so who here, especially you saltwater guys, makes ceviche?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Actually, I had it tonight.
What's the best way to do that? Tell me the process for it. I know it's fairly simple, but tell me any tricks or tips for it.
All right, so it's the type of fish you use that's the real key, I guess.
Wahoo!
I have learned that mahi is actually very good for fish ceviche. But your more white meat fish is the best, like wahoo, mahi, black sea bass, exceptional ceviche fish, no doubt about it. Beeliner is very good as well. Cut the red out. But what you do is cut it in very small cubes, as small as possible. And then from there, you put the lime juice on there, let it cook, put it in the fridge. And then from there, in another bowl, you get the stuff that you prefer to have with it, i.e. Avocado, my choice, I'm going to name it to you, avocado, cucumber, red onions, and of course, you got to have a little cilantro in there, and then everything else. Oh, yeah, sorry. A little bit of jalapeno also, I feel like goes a long way in there likewise. And then Once that fish cooks, you put it all together in the same bowl along with the lime juice that it cooked in. Don't drain any of it. Mix it up and serve.
Does that need to be covered completely in the lime juice?
No, does not. I'll backtrack a little bit here. So as it's in the fridge, every so often pull it out, stir, put it back in the fridge.
How long?
It should be completely done within 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't realize it was that
Pretty quick,
quick.
yeah.
Oh,
So you're literally cooking it in the
If you keep
refrigerator
it in
in lime
longer, it's not
juice.
going to hurt nothing at all. But, 20, 30 minutes is done.
So it's just cooking in the lime juice, no heat.
Yep.
Yep.
No
Wow.
heat. Yep. The acid takes care of it. So.
What's everybody's favorite fish? If you there again, I know it's hard to choose. If you could eat one fish from now on, what would it be, JR?
Freshwater or saltwater?
Either one. Favorite fish.
You have to pick one.
Favorite fish. You pick one.
All right, fine. Grouper.
Okay.
I got to do 3, man. I can't say just 1. Damn.
God dang,
Tough
that's
decision.
tough.
Yep.
One.
Provisions grouper sandwich for me.
One. One, Pete. Come on now.
African pompano.
Okay.
Man,
John.
I don't even know what that's like.
They spearfish
I
those
prefer
up out of
mahi.
the frying pan tower, Dieter.
Black and
David,
white.
what's your favorite
Used to.
fish?
Yeah, probably mahi if I had to guess, but man, the provisions grouper sandwich is on fire too.
Mahi's up there.
Captain Dieter.
Dude, that's tough. That's tough. I hate to throw saltwater fish in because I don't actually catch them that much that I eat.
Mountain Island blue catfish.
I do love catfish. Freshwater, I'll eat that over anything.
Over
It's
striper?
hard to beat. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
It's hard to beat dolphin, though. I'd
I like
probably go with
black. I like black sea bass. That's the best
Black
tasting
sea
fish
bass.
I've
So
ever-
if I were to have a top 3, it'd be African pompano, hogfish, sea bass.
I think my
sure.
3 are.
Peter just
mahi,
wants to say a fish
wahoo.
that he knows we haven't caught.
Damn right.
Snapper's great.
What fish?
Yeah,
Good
but
white.
just about anything in saltwater is good to eat. I mean, everything. Your mahi,
Yeah,
your
it's not.
grouper.
Spanish suck. King
Tell you,
suck.
tell you one
No,
thing
I'm talking
about
about across
mahi
the board.
though, it's like it's hard to fuck up mahi. I mean, you
Yeah.
can overcook it, you can undercook it, you can fry it, you can over fry it, bake it, boil it.
If you ever
Still
want to know what
good.
the best fish is, go to a fish market at the coastal fish market and see what the most expensive fish there is. That's more than likely the best eating fish.
I'm gonna say false. Because some of these fish are like prestigious fish that you can't find nowhere else, and yet they're $40.
Oh
a
my
pound.
God, that's your semantics. I'm talking about the price of grouper versus the price of black tip shark. Like it's obvious.
I mean, wouldn't snapper have a higher price or can they still be netted?
I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know how
not.
they commercially fish.
Some
for
of these
snapper.
fish markets I've gone to in my neck of the woods there in Oak Island, like it'll kind of shock you the price of some of these fish. Wahoo, $30 a pound. Grouper, $18 a pound. So
Wahoo's one of the best eating fish in the ocean.
it's all about
If not
time of
the
year,
best.
honestly.
Wahoo is up there. That's probably my
I've
second.
never
favorite.
ate it. Pete, you got to catch me one and let me
Dude,
try.
I got you, man. You got to come my neck of the woods. I got some in the freezer right now. I'll just hand you. Here.
I was gonna say I think I've got about 30 pounds of filleted wahoo in the freezer.
So wahoo's a fish you can freeze without
Yes.
any problem. Okay.
Now this is what I've heard about Spanish. Spanish are okay if you put them on ice and eat them the same day, but if you let them go 2 days or if you freeze them and try to thaw them out and eat them, it's like a damn herring. It's gonna fall.
I
apart.
love
It's
Spanish.
like they turn
I'll
into
be
gizzards. yeah.
upfront with you. I love Spanish, but
I've
keep it
ate Spanish before like that.
A little
gotta
tuni's
bleed
not bad if you bleed it and add a lot of liquid smoke and a lot of mayonnaise to it. Make it feel like a
You can do
Tartar
tuna
sauce.
dip.
you can make sushi out of
Oh God, out of
Bonito.
little tuni.
So Mercer, did you ever eat those bluefish that you showed me pictures of?
No,
You did not? Oh, come on.
no.
Good bait.
I'm not a fan.
He
of
asked me, are they good eating? I'm like, yeah, they're good eating.
We were tooling up the intercoastal with nothing to do, so I'm like, I'm gonna throw out some A rigs. So we were just cruising up there like at little more than idle speed with A rigs, one A rig out each side. It kept catching them little blues all the way up through there. Of course, the bodies didn't last long. I had to replace the bodies just about every time because they'd bite them off. But it was fun. Had plenty of them laying in the boat. So
Yeah.
And to Peter's point, I mean, I think Spanish are great too. I think they're a little greasy.
Yeah.
I love smoked Spanish, and I like making a salad out of Spanish.
Yeah.
But I don't like keeping the small Spanish. When I keep a Spanish, I like those dang 2.5 to 5 pound variety. I don't really care for the small little 14, 15 inchers personally.
I don't care for nothing smoked no more. I just don't like the smell, the taste of it. I don't care for shit smoked no more. If it's been smoked, I don't want it.
Really, the only reason you smoke it is because it's not a very good eating fish, and you're just trying to make it taste better.
So is salmon not good eating fish at all?
I just don't like the smoked taste.
Not my favorite. I mean, if they serve it at the Chinese buffet, it's probably
Is that why they smoke pig?
That's right.
Now what is blackened? I've heard blackened tuna.
Blackened. That's where you get.
Seasoning.
I use
that's the seasoning profile.
Google.
Yeah. Use like peanut oil or olive oil, something with a very, very high smoking point, and you get the pan super duper duper hot, and you throw your fish in there with a lot of seasoning on it, and that's blackening.
Just do it real quick.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And the whole thing of blackening is you want to use as little grease as possible.
Is that kind of like when you're cooking tuna, like the yellowfin, you want to cook it just
kind of sort of same concept. That's more like pan seared, I guess.
Yeah. Blackening is more about the seasoning than it is the cooking. It's
still
spicy. It's a spicy blackened. Right, but to his point, I mean, you could grill it in a pan or you could cook it on the grill, and you could still blacken it with the season. It's the seasoning that they're referring to when you order something that's blackened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know if you overcook yellowfin tuna 5 seconds, it's fucked up. I mean, you throw that shit in the trash. That's the hardest fish to me.
Yeah, you want it to be pink. You don't want it to be fully cooked like a well done steak.
The key to cooking tuna altogether is you want to make sure you cook it when it's room temperature. If you got to pull it in the fridge and throw it in the dang pan, it's not good.
Well, I've always heard the blackfin. Down in Florida, they call blackfin your neighbor tuna. You know why they call it neighbor tuna, John? Because the blackfin you give to your neighbor and you keep the yellowfin.
Yeah.
Blackfin's good.
But I've heard a lot of people
very good.
A lot of people, I've heard people say if you take one from the other, you couldn't tell them apart in taste.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you give the damn blackfin to your neighbor, I'm gonna be your damn neighbor.
I know, right? I mean,
what did you do with that when we called JR? Did you take it?
No, I cooked it. Yeah, I cooked it. I blackened it actually.
So question about.
I'm sorry, I seasoned it and seared it.
Question about bluefin tuna, and Pete, you may know the answer to this. If you buy that bluefin permit, are you allowed to sell? And I think you can catch one with the permit, or one per day or whatever. Are you allowed to sell without a commercial license?
No, you can't. Nope. The permit is only there for you to allow you to keep.
I always wondered that because we would get permits back when we tuna fished, and I always wondered if we could sell it. So you have to have a commercial license to sell it.
Commercial permit to sell any fish, actually. So you can have a permit to like catch kings, for example, but you got to also have a separate permit to sell.
And so are those bluefin permits, the commercial permit, is that one of those permits that's like worth $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, whatever you can sell it to somebody else for?
No, not quite.
Okay.
So the bluefin permit is like compared to a HMS permit, like a highly migratory species, whatever.
Yeah.
So basically what it is a tax. Okay. They want you to buy this permit to say, hey, you can keep a bluefin, but that.
So there's not a limited supply of them like there is for some other fish.
No, it's like $26 for the permit.
Yeah.
It's not like elk hunting in Colorado or something.
I think maybe you might correct me on this, but I think that permit allows you to keep one per year. I think it's what it is. Yes.
I think that
one per year, and it must be reported before you even enter port.
Yes. Yep. You're supposed to radio it in.
Yep.
But someone had asked me last week, one of the guys I was fishing with. He was like, I want to go bluefin tuna fishing. And my uncle was like, oh, yeah, you can sell it. And I was like, I don't think you could sell it without a commercial license.
In the 90s, you could, but
Okay.
when all the regulations hit, I think early 2000s, that's when they threw these permits out and everything else. And you can't
Because
no longer do it.
those fish are pricey. I'd love to sell one.
Hey, do y'all know Captain Donnie White, captain of the Seawolf? John?
I don't know him personally. I do know an angler on the Seawolf.
Okay, he's doing an interview right now on YouTube Live about the Big Rock tournament.
Oh, all of our viewers are going to go over to that now, Wes.
I know, Wes. Come on, man.
I'm
Damn.
sorry. Oops.
Damn it.
Fishing tournament.
Let's see what he's saying.
April, May was
Let's see
struck
what he's
Damn,
saying.
y'all. We're 3 hours strong here, man. This is record, man.
April,
Listen.
May. Until
Let
the
it
coast
play.
guard
I'm
got
gonna
I see,
peek.
I see David Mercer's eyes closing over there. It's past his bedtime.
I'm about gone, man.
when you were there with April,
He's got to go rinse it off.
Listen.
Actually
God
happening
damn,
out
y'all killing me, man.
Ranks.
Lost my train of thought with that, Wes. Damn it.
a rule 23 in
Here
the
we go.
rule book there for the Big Rock tournament. So that fish was disqualified. Sushi takes home the prize for the most weight on a fish at just over 485 pounds. But captain of the Seawolf, Donnie White, joining us. You had an interesting event take place earlier in the fishing tournament. The boat April May was struck by lightning. Your boat, Donnie, the Seawolf, stayed with April May until the Coast Guard was able to arrive.
That's what we're talking
to-
about last
to rescue
night,
the
John.
boat. Take us to that time when you were there with April May. What was the damage to the boat? Was the boat sinking? What was actually happening out there?
Oh, yeah. It was a boat sinking.
I got struck by lightning earlier in the day, and that was my lay day. I took a lay day. In other words, I did not fish. 7 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a call from Doc Brewer, who's the captain of the April May, saying he was in harm's way. He was in trouble. He was taking on water. He got struck by lightning, and actually the sushi had been on standby beside him and had left to go weigh a dolphin for the daily. Anyways, long story short, I get to him. He's half sunk, boat's full of water. Wow, man! All the way till 3:30 in the morning before the Coast Guard got there.
Oh,
I had to give him half of my batteries, wire, pumps, the whole 9 yards to get him going again. And then we towed him until the Coast Guard got there. I got back.
That was a little bit of a slam up against the sushi, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People jumped on the boat. We took back off.
Which technically you're not supposed to leave a vessel in distress, are you?
White joining us right here on the Heaster Automotive Hotline. I'm Chris Lee. That's Dennis.
Maritime law, I don't think so.
Last week we talked to Madison
So,
Struck from the Big
turn it
Rock
off real quick,
tournament.
Wes.
I asked her specifically, since Seawolf was out there in the water to help somebody, does that count against them for a day in the water? And it
Cut it
sounded
off,
like
Wes. We're
so
done.
you guys weren't going to be on the water that day at all. And you
So
went up
there's
there
a
to help
rule in
somebody.
tournament fishing, like the King Mackerel tournament, for
No, they
example.
did not. Okay,
Unless there's a
okay.
boat,
Okay.
done. Unless
Go
there's a
ahead,
boat in
Pete.
distress, you are not allowed to step foot in a boat at all if you're weighing a fish. You got a fish in the boat, you're weighing it, you cannot help another boat at all. And so that's probably why the sushi was not helping, because didn't you just say that he had a mahi to weigh in or something?
Well, I thought he said he took a lay day.
But he said
Seawolf.
the sushi was there, right? Seawolf took a
Yeah.
weigh day.
Okay.
He said sushi left them in distress to go weigh their fish,
Yeah.
is what he said. And I
Yeah.
thought that was against the rule. I mean, I didn't think from a captain's point of view, and Peter, you're not I didn't think he was allowed to do that.
There's
Are
a
you
lot-
not required?
There's more to the story as far as knowing there's more boats in the area. Perhaps the Seawolf may have been on the way there anyways.
Yeah.
But scales close at a certain time. And then again, like in the king mackerel world, there is a clear-cut rule saying you cannot step foot in another boat unless they are in complete distress.
Yeah.
And if you do, your weight is disqualified.
It's the same.
I'm
as the Big Rock.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
not
it wouldn't have
the
been like.
most
Surely it wasn't life or death, and they left them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounded
That would
pretty
be a
bad
different
to me.
situation.
So
I mean, yeah, it
think
sounded
the
pretty
water
bad,
boat
but
almost sank. No power, no sonar. Sounded like pretty bad to me, but
I talked to one of the anglers. His name's Matthew Connolly. I was just trying to find the video that he sent me. It looked like it got taken down. But he had reached out to me because he had passed us in one of the videos that I'd posted on TikTok. Kind of got like 50,000 views or whatever on the rough seas, and he was like, "We're the boat that got struck by lightning. We passed you guys on the way out, and I think we were about 5 miles from you. We were in the same storm." And he was telling me, and I asked him what went on, and he was saying that the tuna outrigger got struck. They lost an engine.
That was the green stick, right?
Green stick.
The vertical, not the
lost
outrigger.
all their electronics. Lost. They had one engine. The bilge pumps weren't working. They were using hand pumps to pump the water out. I mean, these sport fishes, they're big and they can withstand a lot. But when you have no bilge pump and you're out there and 4 to 6s and waves are coming over the back of the boat, and you don't have a working bilge pump, you've got to do something. He said they were bailing water out using pumps or hand pumps.
You'd think those boats would be more watertight than what they are. It's like,
yeah, but if you look at the back of them, when they back down on a fish, like you'll see water. I mean, there will be a foot of water back there sometimes if it's rough.
Absolutely.
And if you're not in motion, and those waves and waves were coming over the side, over the bow during the storm, and it was rough like that the remaining of the day, not just during the storm. It was rough like that the entire day.
But when those boats are docked, you can see if you stand there at the marina long enough, the bilge pumps will kick on, and it's constant.
Yep.
You'd think they'd be more watertight.
But he was saying that, and he said the same thing, which his message to me was they stayed till 1 a.m. until the Coast Guard got there. And I think Seawolf was saying 3:30, which may have been when Seawolf got back in. And I thought it was crazy that Coast Guard had towed them in, because I'd always heard that Coast Guard will never tow your boat. They are strictly there, life or death situation. They'll rescue or stuff like that. But I do know that Seatow, he had said that Seatow tried to get out the inlet 3 times, couldn't do it. And that's kind of crazy. Seatow can't get out there. You're in some pretty rough stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine being out there, when the sun's setting, being dead in the water.
Okay, good.
That's why I always preach, always have a sea anchor and always have plenty of anchor rope.
I'm telling you, when you're in, 300 fathoms, you don't have that kind of anchor. I think I have maybe 400 foot of anchor on my boat. I don't think we went inside of 600 foot of water.
Yeah. How deep is a fathom? What is it? 6 feet?
Every 6 feet. Yeah.
So, yeah. It's 1,800 feet. In order to safely anchor, you would need like 8,000 feet of anchor.
Inside of 330 foot. Big Rock Hole, I think, starts at 330 and goes to.
I wonder if they had a sea anchor, like a drift sock.
Well, I have heard that's what apparently you do when you do put the drift sock out and kind of go. You want to go with the waves or whatever, but I have no clue. He didn't say any of that. I thought it was pretty crazy that they had passed us on the way out. And
Captain White said 45 more minutes that boat would have been sank without any help.
Yeah, I imagine them getting towed would help maybe get some of the water out of it.
Yeah,
maybe they jumped in and pulled the plug.
I don't know. I think it's a 52 foot, I think is what the April May was. But I mean, you look at some of these sport fish, the engine rooms, I mean, you stand in, you're talking about a room that is 30 feet long and 6 foot tall. And when you start getting water down in there, I mean, it's below the water line. It adds weight and it's going down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I got a guy trip in the morning. Yep. I'm jumping off here.
Myself.
Yep. I'm going. Enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Yes,
Love
sir.
you guys.
3 hours strong, man. Look at this.
JR, glad you got back on here with us, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got some catfish talking tonight, JR.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
right?
I mean, I had to be an asshole to accomplish that, but oh well.
As big as Volkswagens.
I got a cousin that knows a guy that worked at the dam, worked for Duke Power, and they went down to work on the dam.
In his scuba gear?
That's
Big
right.
as Volkswagens.
Yes, he said he'd never do it again. He'll never go down there again.
All right, y'all.
He might get shocked.
All right, gents. Until next time.